1, we're live. Yep.
Hey everyone, welcome to our very first YouTube live ever. I've never done a YouTube live before, and what a better occasion to do it on the budget day, right? Am I live? Can you guys hear me? Let me just wait for the live chat to load. I think there will be like a 15-second delay. I just want to see if you guys can hear me. If you guys can hear me and everything is clear, give me a thumbs up and tell me that you guys are excited. Type excited. Somebody is saying, I don't like budget. Middle class लोगों के लिए कुछ ना कुछ परेशान लेते हैं, टैक्स हर बार बढ़ता है, बाइक में 28% GST और हेलीकॉप्टर में 5% GST. All right, everybody can hear? Fantastic. We have more than 1,000 people who've joined us live, and the budget has not even begun yet, right? So I'm expecting tens of thousands of people to join, right? The finance minister is going to come live at 11 a.m. But before that, let me introduce you to the expert guests of today, right? We have two absolute stalwarts in the field of finance. We have CA Nitish Buddhadev. Did I pronounce that right? Buddhadev. CA Nitish Buddhadev. As the name suggests, he is a CA with upwards of 10 plus years of experience of tax planning. And on the other end, I have Mohit Gang. It's actually Gang, but I like to say it as Mohit Gang. He has almost 15 plus years of experience of financial planning with a particular focus on HNIs. Thank you so much for joining today, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for having us.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself before we begin? I mean, I gave you guys a one-liner introduction, a little bit about who you guys are so that the audience also knows.
Okay. So working in finance for almost 2 decades now, 20 plus years. I started my career in 2003 and it's 2024 that we are talking, right? So my only passion is investments and making people's money grow faster and making them richer. Absolutely.
If you guys are here to get rich, he's the guy. And CA Nitish, what's your story?
So I became chartered accountant in 2013.
First attempt, second attempt, third
First attempt.
First attempt. That is the key point.
But I took 3 attempts to clear my inter.
Okay.
So I learned from that.
So the final was?
Final was in first attempt.
And what is your rank?
No rank.
No rank. Okay.
But cleared in first attempt.
But cleared.
So yeah, I have my own boutique setup of financial planning and investing and the tax planning things under the name of Nimit Consultancy, where we handle the wealth as well as do the tax planning for our client. So that's what we do. And of course passionate about the investing and the tax planning, Sharan.
And you guys primarily work with HNIs or also with middle class, upper middle class people? Both.
We work with anyone who wants to grow rich and who wants their money to work for themselves.
Perfect. So before we begin, we still have about 15 minutes before the budget starts. For those people who have absolutely no idea what this is, can one of you guys explain in very simple word, like how would you, like anybody do you have kids?
Yes.
Yep.
Right? How would you explain to your kid what exactly is a budget?
Sure.
Okay.
When I mean kid, like 15-year-old.
Go ahead.
5-year-old.
My daughter is 3 years.
15-year-old person, what is a budget?
Very, very simple terms is a statement of income and expenditure of the government of India. So how your country is earning money and how your country is spending back that same money, right? And are they running short of some money? Are they running a surplus on that money? How well are they putting that money back, right? So let's say if you earn a salary, just giving a very simple example, let's say you earn a salary of 100 rupees, right? And out of that you pay 20 rupees as your EMIs, 25 rupees as your rent, some 10-15 rupees as your children's expenses, your household purchases, your groceries, right? So are you saving something or are you borrowing to run your household expenses, right? And even if you're saving, how productively are you saving? Are you deploying that saving? Let's say if you're saving 20 rupees out of that 100, are you deploying that saving back in something which can generate more money for you? Or are you just splurging that 20 rupees in holidays, credit card payments, shopping, luxury items, or buying a fancy car or a fancy watch, right? So these are all different types of expenses. Some are productive, some are not productive. This is what we learn from budget, how the government of India is spending the hard-earned money of its people. How is it taking it? How is it spending it back on the people? How is it spending back on the country for running day-to-day expenses? That's budget for you.
So basically, what I understand is the government is also like a business,
Yeah.
right? It has income and it has expenses.
Yeah.
And what is the income of the government?
Taxes.
Taxes.
And
Absolutely.
the borrowing also.
And
Like
the borrowing
they can't
also.
just survive on the taxes, so they borrow a lot.
So if I say the income of the government is firstly our income tax, which salaried people
Direct,
pay,
Yeah.
income tax. Then you have a corporate tax.
which companies pay.
That's companies paying. Then you have all other indirect taxes like GST, excise, and all that thing.
Then GST is one such thing that everybody pays regardless of how rich you are.
Indirect tax everyone pays because it's already loaded on the consumer.
If I buy a 10 rupee Lays packet, I'm paying GST
Absolutely.
automatically.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that is the income. And
Yeah.
then, but you said tax is not enough for the government.
Yes.
Not enough.
What else do they need?
Okay, so if I were to just break this cookie, right? You have 100 rupees which government earns, out of which 61 rupees roughly, okay, very roughly comes out of taxes.
Okay.
Out of that, around 18 to 19 rupees comes out of income tax, which is people paying taxes as per their income brackets, which is mostly salaried people or some amount of professionals, right? 17 rupees comes out of GST, which is what we were discussing, which is the amount of money which is charged on any purchase which you make, right? So you're buying chips, you're buying cold drinks, you're
So
staying
can
in
you
a
just
hotel.
repeat that? So out of 100 rupees that the government earns,
Yeah. 61 rupees is coming out of tax revenues.
what is tax revenues?
Tax revenues is your income tax, your GST, your corporate tax. So
Okay.
all these three
All
things
kind of
put
taxes,
together.
yeah.
So all kinds of
tax
taxes.
is 61 rupees of
61
the
rupees
government.
of the government
And the
receipts.
remaining 39 rupees?
32 rupees out of that, of the big chunk, is
Okay.
coming out of capital receipts, which is your FII money, government selling some stake, government doing disinvestment, government doing some spectrum sale, government doing some coal auction sales.
So
or
this
all
is from the
these.
61 rupees or separate?
That's separate.
separate.
32
Outside.
rupees is separate.
That's a one-time event. When say capital receipt, it's not a recurring thing.
Yeah.
Generally.
So government selling spectrum and all of that.
Spectrum, receiving foreign investments, or any
Disinvestment,
disinvestment,
like you said,
divestment,
If
so all
they
these
have
kind of
Coal
things.
India, they have a X stake. Now they want to sell out some stake. They'll get that money.
So basically,
that's a capital
government
receipt.
also owns some assets,
Absolutely.
has its own
Absolutely.
companies,
Perfect.
Government has huge
has
assets.
its own natural resources.
Right.
So when government sells India's natural resources, it is making money.
Perfect.
Right.
That is
Perfect.
capital receipt.
That's capital. And the
Now-
last 7 rupees, sorry,
Yeah, please
last 7 rupees comes out of your dividends or profits which government. So RBI giving dividend
Yeah.
to government, or government earning some profits because of its stake in some companies or something like that. So that's your last 7. So that's the 100 rupee pie which government earns.
Wait, somebody is saying voice is very low. Can you guys hear? If you guys can hear loud and clearly, please give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear this loud and clearly. If not, we will speak 10 times louder. I think there's a 15-second. Yeah, somebody is saying much better than the crap being discussed on regular channels. That's a good sign.
So Sharan, if I just want to
Somebody saying voice low. Let's just speak loud, much
okay.
louder. Yeah.
So when I see what Mohit mentioned, that total tax revenue, if I talk about the 2023, we keep ranting about that, okay, we are paying too much of taxes. That's true.
Yeah.
But I just want to share one number. We are 140 crore plus Indians. Out of that, only 2.24 crore people pay tax.
Yeah.
That is just 1.58%, Sharan.
Correct.
And that brings a roughly revenue of overall tax brings revenue of 30 lakh crore. Out of that, 8.33 lakh is roughly your income tax, which we all pay.
Okay.
So
So
because
out of 30 lakh crore, 8.3 lakh crore is income tax.
income tax, then there is a corporate tax, and then there is an indirect tax.
So around 30% of the government's tax collection is coming from salaried people.
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly. Right?
Right.
And you're saying that out of 140 crore Indians, only 2.5 crore people pay tax.
2.25, not even 2.5.
2.25 crore people pay tax. And I actually want to go one deeper. If you look at the Pareto principle, right, 80-20,
Right.
what you will notice is that 80% of the tax is actually paid by 0.3% of the population. That's
True.
it.
Absolutely.
So even though it's, 1.5-2% of
Yeah.
the population paying tax, only
The
0.3% is
Right.
paying 80% of the tax.
Right.
Totally.
Right, and 0.3% of the country is running the people are running the country.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the point here is that it's very difficult to expect that there would be reduction in taxes. Honestly, there might be some shops, there might be, but I don't think there is there can be major relief in the taxes.
Can you guys hear me properly? It's as if you are speaking in the background. Exclude the children in 140 crores. Okay, bro, fine. Sharan sir, can you keep the mic closer? I just got it closer, guys. I hope this is fine. Can you hear me? We'll all lift the mic a little up. It's perfect. Huh?
It's
Then
good.
guys, just increase your volume, guys. Increase the volume.
Use the headphones.
It's perfect? Alright. Cool. Right now there are 2,200 people live. We are just like 8 minutes away. So Nitesh, what you're saying is that middle class people have nothing to expect this budget.
We do expect every year.
Huh.
But if I talk about that, Sharan, last ATC limit raised 10 years back, which was the first
So last time
budget.
ATC limit, which is
Which
the
is
1.5 lakh,
1.5 lakh, which-
was raised 10 years back.
10 years, which was the first budget of Modi government.
Okay.
And then the ATD, which is a health insurance premium and all that, raised in 2015.
So this budget, if they make ATC 3 lakhs, what will you say? How will you celebrate?
Honestly, still we are just not beating the inflation if we count that way.
What do you guys think will happen? You guys think the ATC limit will be raised from the current 1.5 lakhs? What do you guys think? Please comment in the chats. What do you think is the correct ATC limit? Because you see, the reason why what I think is wrong in India is that the government looks at India as one India, right? They look at, okay, there is rich people living in big cities and then there is poor people living in tier 2, tier 3 towns. But I would argue that India has 3 Indias. India 1, India 2, India 3.
Absolutely.
Now, the similar way how we look at the US. Now, a person who is earning $30,000 in US, which is about 24 lakhs, is very poor in the US.
Absolutely.
Can barely, survive. But we in India look at 24 lakhs and I'm like, wow, that is a rich person.
Absolutely.
Similarly, in India, people living in Mumbai, Bangalore, earning 10 lakh or 15 lakhs per annum, right? A farmer who's living in some village might look at us and be like, oh, we are so rich. But actually, the cost of living is so high over here, right? So we are not feeling rich. Whereas the farmer living in tier 3, tier 4 town, even earning 3 to 4 lakhs, is living like a king, right? So I think when the government looks at the country and decides the taxation laws, it is only looking at, okay, people living in cities are already well off. We don't need to take care of them. Let's just focus on the farmers. That's what I think. What do you guys think?
No. So look, I think what has happened progressively in this country is that only the middle class has been consistently paying taxes, and which Nitesh was also referring to, right? Government has to figure out new ways and means of generating more revenues. Taxes can't be the sole way of running this country. If you are running a country where out of 140 odd crore, only 8.5 crore are filing taxes, and out of which only 2.5 crore are actually paying taxes,
Correct.
then there is something dramatically wrong in the overall in the entire system, right? So giving some rebates here and there, raising some tax limits, raising some exemption limits, trying to get in more 50 lakh people to pay taxes, more 1 crore to join the tax wagon, I don't think so is going to help.
But what about taxing the farmers? It's a very popular topic. But when do you think the government will do that? Because there's a lot of rich farmers.
It's a bullet which I don't think so any government has the courage to bite in this country, to be very honest.
But the government just won. No, it has 4 more years now.
Sharan, most of the politicians in this country are farmers by profession, right? So if you really want to avoid paying taxes, you just take a farming license. You take a agricultural land, you take a farming license, and then the next day you'll stop paying all taxes in this country, right? So it's a very difficult proposition to actually push through politically, socially. You take it any which ways. Farm laws, agri laws, land and labor reforms. These are the toughest things to pass through in this country. My sense is it's not going to happen. Absolutely.
Because Sharan, around 80 lakh crore people, okay, are on the government's ration. So how we can...
Sorry, 80 lakh to a crore.
Sorry, I mean to say that half of the population, government is sponsoring then the ration.
80 crore people.
80 crore people, right.
Are being sponsored by the government.
Right. So my point is that, so ये सब पूरे number हटा देते हैं, तो like Mohit mentioned, a small chunk remains. So there can be some ideas there, like you said, a farmer or somebody else need to bring into this taxation. Then only we can expect that bit rationalization on the middle class and mainly the sell right.
Interesting.
I'll tell you something, some very interesting stat, Sharan. So the per capita GDP of India is roughly around $2,650 dollars, right?
Yeah.
If you
Which is about 2.5 lakhs.
Yeah. If you remove the top 10% of the population, the per capita GDP of this country is $700, right? So what you tell about India, whatever good you tell about India, the opposite is also equally true. As you rightly said, India is not just India. It's a story of 3 Indias clubbed together, right?
Correct.
The urban elite India, the urban middle class or the rural middle class India, and then the rural India, which as he mentioned is still living on government ration, right?
Correct.
So if you run a government for 140 odd crore people, then you have to run it as
for
a whole,
the-
right? You can't run it for that 1% section or that 5% section which is still
Yeah.
living on salaries and then still
But
waiting for
because
exemptions.
of that, there is a lot of incentive for people to leave this country, right? And even the audience over here is not liking it. Like, guys, I want to ask you guys to understand, to better understand who is actually watching this live. I want to ask a few questions. We have 3 more minutes before, the finance minister comes live. But before that, can you please type in the chat, which city are you guys from? Please type your city. Okay. 15-second delay, right? Alright. Which city, guys? Just waiting. Now it's coming, whatever I said. Yeah. Bangalore, Akola, Chennai, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Dubai. I live in Dubai, I don't care.
Invest in India.
Why are you watching? HP, what is that? Himachal Pradesh.
Himachal Pradesh.
Davangere, Mumbai, Kolkata. So as you can see, it's mostly the tier 1 city people. Alright guys, so my next question is, what is your annual package? What is your annual income? I would love to know. How much do you make in a year? Pre-tax, obviously. Post-tax, we'll find out.
According to government, only 4 cities are tier 1: Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata. In your HRA, in your HRA, on all these 4
Delhi,
cities.
Mumbai, Chennai,
Delhi, Mumbai,
Bangalore.
Chennai, and Kolkata. Not even Bangalore.
Not even Bangalore.
Oh, HRA calculation,
Okay.
they
Incomes
don't
are
give
coming.
that 50%.
Nah, I got it.
Some guy is saying 20 lakhs per annum. 15 lakhs, 44 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 18 lakhs, 1000 crore. Okay, cool. Fine. 30 lakhs, 1.5 cr, 10 lakhs, 17 lakhs, 11 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 1 cr, 6 lakh, 1.5 cr, 30 lakhs, 36 lakhs, 1.2 cr. So as you can see, a lot of rich people are watching this channel. So I'm just gonna say, guys, we're gonna be disappointed with this budget, but let us still see what we can learn. What is it? Is it started?
Yeah, it's just about to
Starting in a
start.
minute.
It's gonna start in a minute, guys. But very, very interested. Very. Now I know who you guys actually are. Living in big cities, earning very good income, very good salary. Hopefully something.
Start हुआ क्या मोहित?
क्या चीज?
बजट नहीं स्टार्ट हुआ.
नहीं
11-1.
माननीय सभासदों, माननीय अध्यक्ष जी,
I think it's back. Alright guys, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Somebody saying leave the country for better future.
मुझे अपनी ओर से तथा सदन के मान्य सदस्यों की ओर से अंतर संसदीय संघ आईपीयू की प्रेसिडेंट और तंजानिया संयुक्त गणराज्य की नेशनल असेंबली के अध्यक्ष माननीय डॉक्टर तुलिया एक्सन का स्वागत करते हुए अत्यंत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। वे हमारी सम्मानित अतिथि के रूप में भारत की आधिकारिक यात्रा पर आई है। ये हमारे लिए खुशी की बात है कि डॉक्टर एक्सन बजट सत्र को देखने के लिए यहाँ उपस्थित है। माननीय डॉक्टर तुलिया एक्सन शुक्रवार दिनांक 19 जुलाई 2024 को भारत पहुंची। उन्होंने 21 जुलाई 2024 को आगरा का भ्रमण किया और उस समय वह विशेष बॉक्स में आसीन है। हम भारत में उनके सुखद और सफल प्रवास की कामना करते हैं। हम अंतर संसदीय संघ के प्रेसिडेंट के रूप में उनकी भूमिका के लिए सफलता की भी कामना करते हैं। उनके माध्यम
Who are
से
these people?
हम तंजानिया गणराज्य की संसद के
डेलीगेशन फ्रॉम तंजानिया।
तंजानिया
Why
की
they come
सरकार
to watch?
आपको मेंबर्स पोर्टल के माध्यम से भी उपलब्ध करा दी जाएगी। माननीय वित्त मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन।
Honorable Speaker, I present the budget for 24-25. Introduction. The people of India have reposed their faith in the government led by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and re-elected it for a historic third term under his leadership. We are grateful for their support, faith, and trust in our policies. We are determined to ensure that all Indians, regardless of religion, caste, gender, and age, make substantial progress in realizing their life goals and aspirations. Global context. The global economy, while performing better than expected, is still in the grip of policy uncertainties. Elevated asset prices, political uncertainties, and shipping disruptions continue to pose significant downside risks for growth and upside risks to inflation. In this context, India's economic growth continues to be the shining exception and will remain so in the years ahead. Steps are being taken to ensure supplies of perishable goods reach markets adequately. Interim budget. As mentioned in the interim budget, we need to focus on 4 major castes, namely the Garib, Mahilaye, Yuva, and Annadata, the poor, women, youth, and the farmer. For Annadata, we announced higher minimum support prices a month ago for all major crops, delivering on the promise of at least a 50% margin over costs. Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana was extended for 5 years, benefiting more than 80 crore people. Administrative actions for approval and implementation of various schemes announced in the interim budget are well underway. The required allocations have been made. Budget theme. Turning attention to the full and beyond in this budget, we particularly focus on employment, skilling, MSMEs, and the middle class. I am happy to announce the Prime Minister's package of 5 schemes and initiatives to facilitate employment, skilling, and other opportunities for 4.1
Hey guys, I
crore
hope you guys
youth
can hear us now.
over a 5-year
is it
period,
working fine? If it is, then give me a thumbs up in the chat section.
with a central outlay of 2 lakh
About 2,000
crore
people live
rupees.
right now. So sorry for the
I will
technical
speak
problems.
about them shortly, while more details may be seen in the annexure. This
Is everything
year,
good?
I've made a provision of
Give me a thumbs up.
1.48 lakh rupees, 1.48 lakh crore
Yeah,
rupees
close your YouTube
for
app and
education,
open it again if it's still
employment,
buffering. That's
and
what I did.
skilling.
Close it and open it up again.
Budget priorities. The people have given a unique opportunity to our government to take the country on the path of strong development and an all-round prosperity. In the interim budget, we promise to present a
What have we
detailed
discussed so far?
roadmap for our pursuit
So nothing,
of
she's
massive
just
power
presenting as to what the budget
in
will
line
focus
with the
on.
strategy
4 key areas of
set
focus.
out in the interim budget.
What are those? What are
This
those 4
budget
key areas?
4
envisages
areas are the poor,
Haan.
the ladies, the youth, and the farmers.
So
generating
there is no rich people.
There never is.
They are not part of what they
They're all busy watching your show right now.
Agriculture. Number 2, employment and skilling. Number 3, inclusive human resource development and social justice. 4, manufacturing and services. 5, urban development. 6, energy security. 7, infrastructure. 8, innovation, research and development. And 9, next generation reforms. Subsequent budgets will build on these and add more priorities and actions. A more detailed formulation will be carried out as part of the economic policy framework about which I will speak later in this speech. This budget details some of the specific actions to be initiated in the current year towards fulfillment of these priorities, with potential for transformative changes. The budget also covers some of the previously made announcements with intent to strengthen them and step up their implementation for expediting our journey towards the goal of Vikasit Bharat. Priority 1, productivity and resilience in agriculture. Transforming agricultural research. Our government will undertake a comprehensive review of the agricultural research setup to bring the focus on raising productivity and developing climate resilient varieties. Funding will be provided in challenge mode, including to the private sector. Domain experts, both
somebody
from
is
the government
translating for all of
and
them.
outside,
Hindi,
will oversee
in the
the
local
conduct
different
of
languages.
such
Yeah.
research.
They get
All
on many
vernacular
Release
languages.
of these
Live
varieties.
translation is
Live.
Yeah.
New 109
People even
high-yielding
don't
and
understand the
climate
Hindi that well.
resilient
Some are not
varieties
in English, so
of
It's very
32
strange
field
that
and
90% of the population is in Hindi,
will be
but
released
we are doing it in
for
English,
cultivation.
right? And the
by
people who can
farmers.
understand in English are not benefiting from this
Natural
budget.
farming.
I
In the next 2 years, 1 crore farmers across the country will be initiated into natural farming, supported by certification and branding. Implementation will be through scientific institutions and willing gram panchayats. 10,000 need-based bio-input resource centers will be established. Missions for pulses and oil seeds. For achieving self-sufficiency in pulses and oil seeds, we will strengthen their production, storage, and marketing. As announced in the interim budget, a strategy is being put in place to achieve Atmanirbharta for oil seeds such as mustard, groundnut, sesame, soybean, and sunflower. Vegetable production and supply chains. Large-scale
So
clusters
taxes
for
amount,
vegetable.
announcement would be in the second part of the budget.
Okay.
So this is all about the general economy, what are the different schemes they are introducing for the farmers,
Yeah.
what they're going to take. That is the general thing right now is
And
discussing.
startups
Got it.
for
So part 2, when she'll say, that is the main highlight.
So part 1 is all about the economy, the general stuff.
Absolutely.
Part 2 is when we get to
Yes,
hear
direct tax,
what's in it
indirect
for
tax.
me.
Yeah.
True.
I think the critical part in part 1 also will be the outlay of government towards defense, towards infrastructure, and all those kind of things, because they indirectly also
multiplier
are
impact.
connected to the economy, to you and I both, in terms of what the government will spend and finally how the overall multiplier effect on the
Multiplier effect,
economy.
because how
Yes.
much they are spending on capex.
Yeah,
That's
can we
the
just
one number.
increase our volume?
Okay.
A lot of people.
Whenever government announces that number, the capex number, though they already announced in the interim budget. See, this is the extension of an interim budget.
Okay.
When you have a election year, you can't have a full fledged. Otherwise, always the budget would be on the 1st Feb of every year,
Okay.
and your financial year start from the 1st April, right? So the taxes and everything start from 1st April.
Correct.
Now, because this is the election year and election happened in June and the result came in July and all, May, June. So now that's why we have another budget. This is a full-fledged budget. So
Okay.
they already announced a capex of 11.11 lakh crore in
11,
the interim
11.
budget.
11.11 lakh crore.
11.
Yeah,
So
that was the figure.
Okay.
And in the earlier year, in 23, it was 10 lakh crore.
Okay.
So this is one of the number even market is watching. How
Okay.
much capex they are going to do, because that would have a multiplier impact. That will affect you and me indirectly, like
So
Mohit
capex
said.
has already been discussed, no?
That's what they are now allocating, though that's also discussed in the interim budget. But we need to see that how actually it's coming out.
Oh.
So are they increasing or doing
what
anything?
has happened between the interim budget and now, which is Feb and now, is that government has got a very big dividend from RBI.
Okay.
So government has some.
Wait 1 second. Guys, you guys can, I know that while we are talking, you can't hear this. But what you can do is you can also keep it on your TV, switch it on your TV, and here you can listen to the commentary by us, because most of the things might not be applicable to us. I don't know if you want to learn about sunflower seeds and all of that, right? Right? We want to understand what is the objective of the government, and let's hear from them as well. You can also watch it on TV, the live thing going on,
and we'll summarize also.
We will summarize
so we'll not miss
well.
anything.
Yeah.
Employment-linked incentive. Our government will implement following 3 schemes for employment-linked incentive as part of the Prime Minister's package. These will be based on enrollment in the EPFO and focus on recognition of first-time employees and support to employees and employers. Scheme A, first-timers. This scheme will provide 1 month wage to all persons newly entering the workforce in all formal sectors.
Oh, wow.
Something new.
Oh,
It's a big one.
1 month wage.
1 month wage.
For everybody joining.
Direct benefit transfer of 1 month's salary in 3 installments to first-time employees
First time employees.
as registered in the EPFO will be up to 15,000 rupees. The eligibility limit will be a salary of 1 lakh per month. The scheme is expected to benefit 210 lakh youths.
So 2.1 crore people.
Yeah.
2.1 crore youth.
Yeah.
So what they're saying is you will get up to 15,000 rupees of.
Job creation in
So it's a very interesting thing. What they're saying
This
is,
scheme
let's-
will
Yeah.
incentivize additional employment in the manufacturing sector
Yeah.
linked to the employment of first-time employees. An incentive will be provided at specified scale directly both to the employee and the employer with respect to the EPFO contribution in the first 4 years of employment. The scheme is expected to benefit 30 lakh youth entering employment and their employers.
This is for manufacturing.
wow.
Scheme C.
Don't worry, guys. We will summarize
Support
everything
to
towards the end. Let's just
employees.
listen.
This employer-focused scheme will cover additional employment in all sectors. All additional employment within a salary of 1 lakh rupee per month will be counted. The government will reimburse to employers up to 3,000 rupees per month for 2 years towards the EPFO contribution for each additional employee. The scheme is expected to incentivize additional employment of 50 lakh persons.
This is very interesting.
People like, I think they're talking about joining bonus.
Participation of women.
Yeah, it's kind of a joining bonus.
We will facilitate higher participation of women in the workforce through setting up of working women hostels in collaboration with industry and establishing creches. In addition, the partnership will seek to organize women-specific skilling programs and promotion of market access for women SHG enterprises. Skilling program. I'm happy to announce a new centrally sponsored scheme. As the 4th scheme under the Prime Minister's package for skilling in collaboration with state governments and industry. 20 lakh youth will be skilled over a 5-year period. Industrial training institutes will be upgraded in hub and spoke arrangements with outcome orientation. Course content and design will be aligned to the skill needs of industry, and new courses will be introduced for emerging needs. Skilling loans. The model skill loan scheme will be revised to facilitate loans up to 7.5 lakh rupees with a guarantee from a government promoted fund. This measure is expected to help 25,000 students every year.
That's it. 25,000 students.
Education loans for helping our youth who have not been eligible for any benefit under government schemes and policies. I am happy to announce a financial support for loans up to 10 lakh rupees for higher education in domestic institutions.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of focus on employment and education.
Education and skilling.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
they want to bring them to the working populator who are earning.
Because the government was criticized, right? That
Yeah.
jobs are not there. and all that.
E-vouchers for this purpose. E-vouchers for this
What are they doing?
purpose
They're
will
complaining.
be given
That's
at least
very
That's their one of the
normal.
job,
every
no?
year
Opposition.
for annual interest subvention of 3% of the loan amount.
Wow. This is again for that education.
Yes, yes.
Priority 3, inclusive human resource development and social justice, saturation approach. Our government is committed to all-round, all-pervasive and all-inclusive development of people, particularly farmers, youth, women and the poor. For achieving social justice comprehensively, the saturation approach of covering all eligible people through various programs, including those for education and health, will be adopted to empower them by improving their capabilities. Implementation of schemes meant for supporting economic activities by craftsmen, artisans, self-help groups, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and women entrepreneurs and street vendors such as the PM Vishwakarma, PM Swanidhi, National Livelihood Missions, and Stand Up India will be stepped up. Purvodaya.
There are 3,000 people
The
like now.
states in the
Wow.
eastern part of the
People
country
are asking which share to
are
buy,
rich
sir.
in economic and have strong cultural traditions.
Budget or no
We
budget,
will
the questions
formulate
remain the
a
same.
plan, Purvodaya,
Buy Nifty.
for the all-round
Buy India.
development
Buy India, right.
of the eastern region of the country, covering Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh.
So they've covered
This will
Bihar and
cover
Andhra Pradesh in one go.
Human resource development, infrastructure,
Instead of giving them special
and generation of
status.
economic opportunities to make the region an engine
Coalition
to attain Vikasit Bharat. On the Amritsar-Kolkata industrial corridor, we will support development of an industrial node at Gaya. This corridor will catalyze industrial development of the eastern region. The industrial node.
Guys, whenever you guys hear something which will benefit you, I want you to comment, this benefits me because this. I would love to see your comments whenever you guys are benefiting from whatever she's saying. I will discuss that with them as well.
Economy. This model shall showcase Vikas B, Virasat B in a growth trajectory. We will also support development of road connectivity projects, namely 1. Patna-Purnia Expressway, 2. Buxar-Bhagalpur Expressway, 3. Bodh Gaya, Rajgir, Vaishali and Darbhanga spurs, and 4. Additional 2-lane bridge over River Ganga at Buxar at a total cost of
Prajwal is saying,
26,000
my
crore
trades are
rupees.
going in loss as she's speaking.
So Sharan, right now market is absolutely flat.
Power projects,
Yeah.
It's just-
including
Nifty is just 9-10%
setting up
minus.
of a
Absolutely
new
flat market.
2,400 megawatt power
One sec.
plant at Pir Painti will be taken up at a cost of 21,400 crore
It's flat, no?
rupees.
It's flat, completely flat. Because people are waiting to decode this.
Yeah.
Medical colleges and sports infrastructure in Bihar will be constructed.
So, interesting data
Additional
point.
allocation to
2023
support
budget, market fell by
capital
0.3%.
Yeah.
2022, market was up by 1.4%.
Yeah.
2021, market is up by almost 5%.
From
Yes,
multilateral
budget day.
development
Yeah.
banks will be expedited.
I think on
But this time around, this is the first time when in last 10 years that 1 month return prior to budget has been positive, which is plus 5%. Otherwise, if you see last 10 years, the 1 month return prior to budget has always been negative.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very
It's the first time.
yeah.
So we could also argue that markets are already like at very
Barring
high.
2021, I think it was positive. I'm just seeing some data, positive 1%, and 2019 and 18 it was positive, but it's been more negative than positive prior to budget.
Because normally profit booking comes before the budget, so maybe people are expecting a good budget.
Also, the quarterly results are being released today, no? For
Yes,
a lot of companies.
it's coming. This month is all result month.
So, guys, how many of you all are trading right now while the budget is happening? Would love to know. Just say that I'm trading. This is my capital right now, which is being traded. I would love to see your comments.
Future years. Our government is fully committed to financing and early completion of the Polavaram irrigation project, which is the lifeline for Andhra Pradesh and its farmers.
Again,
ITC is 2.2% up.
Our
Somebody
country's
saying.
food security as well.
ITC.
Yeah.
consumption and skilling and all those things.
Under the Act,
But we don't know until the GST is announced.
Someone is 2.5 lakhs on option sell.
Act for promoting industrial development.
Agri-tech is up by
Funds will be
18.5%.
provided for essential infrastructure.
Agri-tech.
And because
such
the
as water,
agriculture measures they have
No,
announced.
but up 18.5% what for last 1 year?
I did not mention the time frame. Sai Kiran, what are you saying? Agri-tech is up by 18.5% over what time period?
Corridor
Let me check.
and Waravakal node on the Hyderabad-Bengaluru industrial corridor. An additional allocation will be provided.
Yes,
this
agri-tech
year
right now it's 15% up.
towards capital
Today.
investment
Today, right now when we are speaking,
Oh, wow.
it's 28 rupees up and 15%, 225 right now.
Agri-tech has gone up by 15% in the last half an hour since the budget has begun.
North coastal Andhra, as stated in the Act, will be
Not a buy recommendation, just the analysis,
Discussion.
just the discussion.
PM Awas Yojana. 3 crore additional houses.
Wow,
under the
this
PM
is good for
Awas
housing.
Yojana.
So this they announced in the interim budget. Now they are laying out the plan that how they are allocating.
3 crore additional
3 crore
house.
additional houses.
Houses
So housing
in the-
for all, under that they have announced that is in interim budget.
Got it.
This one particular thing is a huge thing for the economy because it boosts the real estate sector, which is
For promoting
a job for
women-led
very highly unskilled laborers, and plus you have all the core sectors of economy going: steel, iron,
cement.
cement.
Yeah.
schemes benefiting women and girls. This signals our government's commitment for enhancing women's role in economic development. Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan for improving the socio-economic condition of tribal communities. We will launch the Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan by adopting saturation coverage for tribal families in tribal majority villages and aspirational districts. This will cover 63,000 villages benefiting 5 crore tribal people. Bank branches in northeastern region. More than 100 branches of India Post Payment Bank will be set up in the northeast region to expand the banking services.
So when they're banging, they're like support. Yes.
Yeah, that's the way
My
of.
government rocks.
yeah.
Yes, yes. My party rocks.
These are the government parties, the NDA parties which are thumping the.
For rural development, including rural infrastructure. Priority 4. Manufacturing and services. Support for promotion of MSMEs. This budget provides special attention to MSMEs and manufacturing, particularly labor-intensive manufacturing. We have formulated a package covering financing, regulatory changes, and technology support for MSMEs to help them grow and
Yeah,
also
2.25.
compete globally, as mentioned in the interim.
So guys, a lot of people are saying that the taxpayers' money is not being utilized properly until now. But here are the facts, right? In India, only 2.2% of the population are taxpayers. In the US, it is 50.1%. 50% of US population pays taxes. 59.7% of UK population pays taxes. 61% of German population pays taxes, and almost 80% of French population pays taxes. So we are not paying taxes, right? So we can't expect a lot when very little population in the country is paying tax.
So one of the reasons that they all are developed,
will provide.
we are still going
to
there.
each
I mean, one can argue that they looted us and went, and then that's what happened.
In 2047, we'll have a number up. We'll have 40% paying taxes.
The borrower will have to provide an upfront guarantee fee and an annual guarantee fee on the reducing loan balance. New assessment model for MSME credit. Public sector banks will build their own in-house capability to assess MSMEs for credit instead of relying on external assessment. They will also take a lead in developing or getting developed a new credit assessment model based on the scoring of digital footprints of the MSMEs in the economy. This is expected to be a significant improvement over the traditional assessment of credit eligibility based only on asset or turnover criteria. That will also cover MSMEs without a formal accounting system.
They've announced 15,000 crores for the new capital city of Andhra Pradesh.
I'm happy
15,000 crore for the new capital city.
New capital city, for development of new capital city of Andhra Pradesh.
Do you think this is a political play?
It is definitely a political play because Andhra and Bihar were asking for special status, which they can't give, but they are in an indirect way trying to give some dole out to the state. But this is a big one for all companies which are situated in Andhra Pradesh. All companies which have whatever manufacturing units out there or businesses out there coming from Andhra. This new capital, 15,000 crore is a huge outlay. So this
What are
should
they
actually
using it for? 15,000 crore.
to develop the city. So they will have this new capital for Andhra Pradesh. So Hyderabad is no longer the capital; it's moved to Telangana now.
Correct.
Right. So this new capital is what they will infuse money to develop it as city. So you will have metros coming up, roads, highways, infra projects, and industry belts coming up there. Right. So it will boost the overall Andhra economy.
mandatory onboarding in TREDS. For facilitating MSMEs to unlock their working capital by converting their trade receivables into cash, I propose to reduce the turnover threshold of buyers for mandatory onboarding on the TREDS platform from rupees 500 crore to 250 crore rupees. This measure will bring 22 more CPSCs.
Guys, a lot of you guys are saying that India pays less direct tax, but we pay a lot of indirect tax. So when I did that comparison with other countries are also paying good indirect tax, right? It's not that they're not paying indirect tax.
And still direct tax is a major portion. So around 60-70 rupees out of 100 comes from the direct only. So indirect tax, though we all pay, still it's not higher than the direct tax. So we need to understand that also. I know people argue that we are paying GST. Agree, everyone pays GST. The poor of the poorest pay the GST because they are consuming something.
Correct.
But they are still, that's only 30-35% I guess, that's the number out of total tax collection. If I see 30 lakh crore, out of that GST number and the indirect tax number is still lesser than the direct tax number, around 30%, right?
And the direct taxes around?
That's 70%, so 70-30.
Yeah. So direct tax is still the major contributor for running the country.
True.
Direct tax and then corporate tax.
Okay.
So I think these are all one third typically.
Yeah.
Direct tax being a little
and
higher.
even other countries also have corporate tax. They also have big companies. That France and Germany are talking about all your BMWs and all. Where are they situated? These kind of countries only,
Setting up of 100 food quality and safety testing labs with NABL accreditation will be facilitated. E-commerce export hubs to enable MSMEs and traditional artisans to sell their products in international markets. E-commerce export hubs will be set up in public-private partnership mode. These hubs, under a seamless regulatory and logistic framework, will facilitate trade and export-related services under one roof. Measures for promotion of manufacturing and services. Internship in top companies. As the fifth scheme under Prime Minister's package, our government will launch a comprehensive scheme for providing internship opportunities in 500 top companies to 1 crore youth in 5 years. They will gain exposure for 12 months to real-life business environment, varied professions, and employment opportunities. An internship allowance of 5,000 per month, 5,000 rupees per month, along with a one-time assistance of 6,000 rupees will be provided. Companies will be expected to bear the training cost and 10% of their internship cost from their CSR funds. Industrial parks. Our government will facilitate development of investment-ready, plug-and-play industrial parks with complete infrastructure in or near 100 cities in partnership with the states and private sector by better using town planning schemes. 12 industrial parks under the National Industrial Corridor Development Program also will be sanctioned.
So until now, we are still talking about things which are for the whole country as a whole, right?
Yeah, but I think the focus is very clear on employment.
Yeah.
Right.
You can figure it out from the first scheme where they indirectly made companies register for EPFO so that companies can get benefits. And people who work with EPFO registered companies are also getting those free salaries. So that was one. And then internship thing, which is forcing the corporates, basically not forcing but indirectly nudging them to hire more interns and give them 1 year of training with some portion being, I don't know, I'm not very clear whether the government is going to bear that.
They said 5,000 rupees per month.
Per month, but whether the corporates will bear it, only 10% of that has been allowed to be coming out of the CSR fund. And the remaining 90%, I am not very sure whether the government, I don't think so, government is bearing that internship cost, which is in turn saying to corporates that you go out, hire 1 crore new interns, bear the 1 year expenses for their internship and their training. It's kind of making mandatory for the top 500 corporates to hire more interns.
Because around 50% of youth after fresher, after college are not employable. So they have to have a skills, and that's why that internship and all that measures.
I think the whole focus on skill development and internship is to make them ready to be employable. The problem in India today is that even after formal education or some bit of colleging, the students are not formally ready to be employed in industries. Right? So I think that's what government is addressing.
Interesting.
Technology development, skilled workforce, extended producer responsibility.
And ultimately, if they start earning, they will contribute to economy.
Correct.
Right now, they are bearing the fruit of what we all are paying in our taxes, right? So forget about getting tax from them. Let them earn first. So that would be the first step, and then we can bring it into the taxation thing.
So if you ask you guys personally, do you guys feel like you're getting your value for the taxes that you're paying personally? Do you guys feel it? Yes or no?
It's a very subjective question. If I were to compare myself with any other country, then I will always feel deprived. But standalone, I think any country, any developed country, let's say any European country or US or anything, then I will feel a little deprived from what I'm paying. But given the complexities of these countries, I think I'm personally very happy for whatever I'm getting. I know there is a long way to go, but that's what keeps us hopeful.
Yeah. What about you?
Same, Sharan. There are pros and cons. If you ask me that, of course, I'm getting benefit of what I'm paying. Honestly, no. But like Mohit mentioned, there are other benefits which people are deprived there. I think that is because, like we were discussing, India is a continent. I can't say it's a country.
Correct.
Because one way you have a GDP that is greater than the some part of a USA. And then you have a GDP of few of the states which is poorer than even the Africa.
Correct.
So now how
like
to
which are
compensate?
those states which are poorer than?
I think Bihar and all.
So if you
look at the GDP per capita of these
yes. Some northeast countries far.
So can you explain to the audience what is GDP per capita? Like a lot of people don't know this. What is it?
It's very simple. If I earn 100 rupees as a country and my population is 140 crores, right? So I divide my total earnings by my population. That is per capita, per person. What is the earnings in the country? So if I say it's $2,600, so 2,600 into whatever 80 rupees is typically the earning per person in this country. If you total that up to 140, crores,
Yeah.
then you will get the overall GDP of the country.
So in India, we keep we keep bragging about, we are the 5th largest economy. We are going to hit $5 trillion soon. We are going to overcome China very soon.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you look at that GDP per capita, we are very far behind.
We are nowhere.
Like I think China is currently at $10,000 of
Absolutely.
GDP per capita,
Absolutely.
and the US is close to $50,000.
Yeah, roughly around $40,000 plus.
$40,000. So
Yeah,
India is just $2,500
Yeah,
GDP per capita. So it
Absolutely.
basically tells that even if your country is having a very high GDP, but if the population is so big, we still don't feel that we are rich.
Yeah.
That's the
Absolutely.
Recovery. Steps for reforming and strengthening debt recovery tribunals will be taken. Additional tribunals will be established to speed up recovery. Priority 5. Urban development. Cities as growth hubs. Working with states, our government will facilitate development of cities as growth hubs. This will be achieved through economic and transit planning and orderly development of peri-urban areas utilizing town planning schemes. Creative redevelopment of cities. For creative brownfield redevelopment of existing cities with a transformative impact.
This is getting a little boring. to be honest.
Equity market is keenly watching the budget. No movement at all. It's quite flat. We are at 24,480 around Nifty, which is just 23% minus. So I think people are keenly
23
watching.
points minus.
Yeah, that's 23. This is flat. You can say
Flat.
flat. Nothing is happening because I think people are keenly watching. They'll interpret what they are giving.
Yeah. So guys, why don't you guys type down live what is happening to your portfolio? How much upar niche, and tell the quantum of amount. I would love to know, have you guys made 5,000 rupees profit, 1 lakh rupee profit, like for the day? Just comment down below what is happening to your portfolio right now. I have my phone here with me. I can see you guys also. I can see your comments. I'm listening to you guys properly. Just put how much money are you making right now? Up, upar, niche, whatever is happening. 300 rupee loss. Going down. Write the amount. Don't just write going down. It's not interesting. I want to see some action happening. Up 5%. 5% up and 5% down.
Wow.
100 rupee loss. My portfolio is up by 80%. Praveen Kumar. Can you just tell me what you're doing to get that 80% up in your portfolio? I would love to know, because the entire crew over here is looking at me and like, who the hell is this Praveen Kumar made 80% profit today? Okay.
You must be doing FNO.
Minus 8,000.
Wait till the budget gets over. Something is coming on FNO for sure.
Invested 5 lakh, down 5,000 rupees. 150 crore profit. All right, Tarun. Good job. All right. 9,000 down, up 7 lakhs.
Okay, there is, I think, bond yield has some moment.
Can you tell me what that is, bond yield?
Go ahead, Mohit.
So it's marginally, basically marginally up, as you would say, from 7.02, it's come down to around 6.9, which is basically indicating a good positive fiscal discipline
Prudence,
in the
yeah.
country, or fiscal prudence in the country. Not a very big movement per se, but I think bond yields any which ways are expected to ease off with so much of inflows coming from JP Morgan bond inclusion and Bloomberg bond inclusion and so on and so forth.
But what is
So-
the implication of that for the population?
So, for the population who's watching us, the biggest implication is their borrowing costs might come down over a period of time, right? It is
If
a
the
whole.
government is very prudent at spending money.
Right. If I'm not borrowing too much, which means there is a less demand. Okay. So there is no much impact on the borrowing. So there are many people wants to borrow, for example, right?
Borrow
Then-
means I want to take a loan.
Like,
Yeah.
when I say government is taking loan, if they want to spend more on capex, they will take more loan, which is not seen.
But where is the
right?
government taking the loan from? Whose money is it taking?
No, so government borrows from people,
Right.
government issues bonds,
Government bond, like
banks subscribe to those bonds, and individuals, HNIs subscribe to those bonds. So that
So
is in turn
government
government
can
is
borrow
borrowing.
money from it.
Government
Right.
borrows for every year
So
running their
government is
expenses.
taking a tax also.
Government
Plus
is
it's
taking-
borrowing money from.
Borrowing
because we
money from
discussed
us.
now, it's like Mohit said,
Taxes
it's
are not
around
enough.
60%. So for
Correct.
how the other 40% expense will come, right?
But even after collecting all this taxes and borrowing, government still spends more than what it makes. Right?
Yes, it
Always
runs
in
a
fiscal
deficit.
deficit.
It's called the fiscal deficit.
Fiscal deficit.
Yes.
Is there any country in the world which is not in fiscal deficit?
There are quite a number of countries which runs fiscal surplus, Germany being one. But a reasonable amount of fiscal deficit is considered good, right? Some amount of borrowing which can be productively deployed. If you borrow money at lower cost and you can earn more from it, right? A basic finance concept. If you can productively deploy that money to make more money out of it, then it is good. Some amount of deficit is good, but yes, the country like India, we can't run that higher deficit.
So far, looking at India's track record in the last 5 years, how well do you think we have managed our money?
COVID years, we shot up big time, but we were extremely prudent compared to what the world did. Our borrowings were still very, very curtailed. And immediately after COVID, I think they've done a great job in getting the fiscal deficit back on track. Last year, it was around 5.8, which was projected. This year, the projected number is 5.1. And my sense is we will hear from her as to what the number
How much do
is.
you think? You think it'll go down?
Yes,
Fiscal
that's the
deficit?
target.
But I don't think so. It will be projected below 5.1. 5.1 is a great number. Honestly, if they stick to that number, it's a great number. If we can quote anything
And
less
we
than
are
that.
talking about spending 30 lakh crore here.
Yeah.
30
Yes.
lakh crore.
And the target for 26 is 4.5. So if we
How much? 4.5.
4.5, if
Yeah.
C maintains that, market will like it. Because corporate wants that we are not doing too much of populist measure unnecessarily. Because if I'm giving too much of subsidy, that's a one-time thing which is not going to have much. I would say like a capex has a multiplier impact. Subsidy ka utna impact nahi hota hai, right?
It is
a
more like
one-time thing.
pacifying the population.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if they are not doing the populist thing, that market will like it.
Yeah.
If they are doing the capex which is needed, or at the same time they are keeping the fiscal deficit in control, market will like it.
So what you're saying is that if the government is spending money on the public by giving subsidies and all of that, that is not productive spending of money for the economy.
Absolutely.
Right? It is more like making the vote bank happy.
Yes.
But do you think there is a need to do that now that the elections are over? Still they would
They
do that?
are doing that in a large way, right?
Why are they still doing it? They got it. 4 years they want. They have the government for the
You
next 4
can't
years.
run a country where you completely pull the trigger out of the needy, right? So you have to somehow support the population.
Do it next year. No, this year. it is-
No,
No,
like
you
like
can't.
they are giving 80 crore people this ration and all that thing. That's a kind of subsidy because
Yeah.
ultimately you are giving ration for a free. How they are coming? They're coming out of your capital.
So recently, Karnataka government said that I think 50% of the workforce should be people from Karnataka, like these kind of.
But I
They
think
pulled
they've
it
taken
back.
back
They
that.
pulled it
taken
back
that
because there was a big
yeah.
All right,
Controversy.
let's continue.
But still, this is a coalition government. 3 state election due in this year, and people, what NDA was expecting or the BJP was expecting, they didn't get that number. So there would be, like they did in Andhra Pradesh and Bihar.
Correct.
That's kind of a populist measure.
Interesting. You think because of what happened in the election, they made some quick changes in
Of
the.
course, if you are not giving them the portfolio or a good profile in your cabinet, at
Yeah.
least you need to give something to the state.
Yeah,
It's not that straightforward, right? Politics.
never.
To emission targets will be formulated. Appropriate regulations for transition of these industries from the current perform, achieve and trade mode to Indian carbon market mode will be put in place. Support to traditional micro and small industries. An investment grade energy audit of traditional micro and small industries in 60 clusters, including brass and ceramic, will be facilitated. Financial support will be provided for shifting them to cleaner forms of energy and implementation of energy efficiency measures. The scheme will be replicated in another 100 clusters in the next phase. Priority 7. Infrastructure
This one is
investment
interesting.
by central government. Significant investment the central government has made over the years in building and improving infrastructure has had a strong multiplier effect on the economy. We will endeavor to maintain strong fiscal support for infrastructure over the next 5 years in conjunction with imperatives of other priorities and fiscal consolidation. This year, I have provided 11,11,111 crore rupees
Which you already
for
discussed,
capital expenditure.
Already announced in the
Interim budget, yeah.
This would be 3.4% of our GDP. Infrastructure investment by state governments We will encourage states to provide support of similar scale for infrastructure, subject to their development priorities. A provision of 1.5 lakh crore rupees for long-term interest-free loans have been made this year also to support the states in their resource allocation. Private investment in infrastructure. Investment in infrastructure by private sector will be promoted through viability gap funding and enabling policies and regulations. A market-based financing framework will be brought out. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, Phase 4 of the PMGSY will be launched to provide all-weather connectivity to 25,000 rural habitation.
Do you think all these things are already discussed with Modi, is it? Or even he's also hearing for the first time?
No, I think
No,
the infra numbers and everything is nothing new. These were all announced in the interim budget. But obviously, everything which comes out here comes out from the blessings of the PMO. It is not. It
He has
is not
already seen
something.
Everything is discussed with all the ministries, because if they are spending on railway, they need to take them into confidence and all
Got
that
it.
thing. So everyone is having that idea.
Control structures in Nepal are yet to progress. Our government, through the accelerated irrigation benefit program and other sources, will provide financial support for projects with estimated cost of 11,500 crore rupees, such as the Kosi-Michi intra-state link and 20 other ongoing and new schemes, including barrages, river pollution abatement and irrigation projects. In addition,
Nothing so far on green energy and the government's initiative towards
I
zero
think
carbon.
we
There is
missed
something
out
that-
that
Did we
part.
miss it?
Yeah.
I think
it was
they.
discussed.
Yeah, I
it was
think
Government
so.
said. Well, that is really important.
I'm still trying to figure
I'm
it out,
just
but there
guessing
was
that.
something on that.
Because
Green energy they
governments-
mentioned.
By 2030, the government wants to be 50%,
Yeah.
green energy, right?
Yeah. Or maybe they say it now, but my sense is I think we missed out that
I
part.
thought
while we
some
were discussing.
more subsidies would be announced for electric vehicles and all of that, to boost that part of the economy.
That portion we have to
And
see whether they
and
get them under,
related projects.
increase the PLI limit and all
Yeah.
those things.
Himachal Pradesh suffered extensive losses
Yeah.
due to floods last year.
So I had a hostel
Our
there,
government
completely
will
gone.
provide
Oh, wow.
assistance to the state for reconstruction and rehabilitation through multilateral development assistance.
What are they doing?
Uttarakhand.
Why are they doing all that?
Uttarakhand
They will always raise objections.
suffered
Some
losses.
opposition benches.
Himachal Pradesh, flood is coming. Why are they
We will
opposing?
provide
They are saying
assistance
that-
to the state.
Announce more measures or something like that.
Or for why only one state?
Why
Something
not?
like that.
Something like that. Because you have representatives from all the states, so particular MPs would do that approval.
You can't make everybody happy at all.
Our
Never.
government will provide assistance to the state.
Green energy stocks bullish.
Tourism has always been.
Tourism,
has
this will be good.
always been a part of our civilization.
Why they?
Our efforts in positioning India as a global tourist destination will also create jobs, stimulate investments, and unlock economic opportunities for other sectors. In addition to the measures outlined in the interim budget, I propose the following measures.
Single first.
Vishnupad temple at Gaya and Mahabodhi temple at Bodh Gaya in Bihar
Bihar
are of
again.
immense spiritual significance.
We are coalition.
Comprehensive development of Vishnupad temple corridor and Mahabodhi temple corridor will be supported, modeled on the successful Kashi Vishwanath temple corridor to transform them into world-class pilgrim and tourist destinations. Rajgir holds immense religious significance for Hindus, Buddhists and Jains. The 20th Tirthankara Muniswarata temple in the Jain temple complex is ancient. The Saptarishi or the 7 hot springs form a warm water Brahmkund that is sacred. A comprehensive development initiative for Rajgir will be undertaken. Our government will support the development of Nalanda as a tourist center, besides reviving Nalanda University.
Nalanda is
Yeah, Nalanda.
University. They're spending a huge amount on that to do the revival of that.
It's an ancient university.
Yes.
Temples, monuments, craftsmanship, wildlife sanctuaries, natural landscapes, and pristine beaches make it an ultimate tourism destination. Our government will provide assistance for their development to Odisha as well. Priority 8, innovation, research and development.
So these are categories, priority 1, priority 2.
Eight key priorities for government.
There are totally 8. The last
I think no, there are 9, if I'm not wrong. 8 or 9, I'm not.
And prototype development. Further, we will set
like
up
that
a
skill
mechanism
development,
for
Garib Kalyan,
spurring
something like
private sector driven research and innovation at commercial scale with a financing pool of 1 lakh crore rupees in line with the announcement in the interim budget. Space economy, with our continued emphasis on expanding the space economy by 5 times in the next 10 years,
Wow.
a venture capital fund of 1,000 crore rupees will be set up. Priority 9, next generation reforms. Economic policy framework. We will formulate an economic policy framework to delineate the overarching approach to economic development and set the scope of the next generation of reforms for facilitating employment opportunities and sustaining high growth. Our government will initiate and incentivize reforms for 1. Improving productivity of factors of production, and 2. Facilitating markets and sectors to become more efficient.
Did
These reforms
she
will-
say anything about the defense sector? Anything? No priorities there?
As of now, I
Or we
don't
might
think
have
so.
missed
Or
when we
we
were
might have
discussing.
missed, but as of now, we haven't heard anything.
Because the last 1 year defense index has given 160%
Yeah,
returns.
yeah,
In the last 5 years, if you look at it, it's a 33% CAGR.
Absolutely.
What is driving this in the defense sector?
I think it's just the thrust of Make in India plus the global geopolitical climate is also such that you see all the countries putting in more resources, spending a lot of money towards their defense expenditures. India, any which ways, allocates almost 3.5% to 3% of its GDP on defense, which is a massive amount, right? There are very few countries spending more than that kind of. Countries like Israel, US, Pakistan are few countries which, or maybe Korea, are a few countries who spend higher on defense, right? So it's a massive amount. The thrust on local manufacturing so that you reduce defense imports. India is a very high importing nation on defense equipments. So I think the overall thrust to manufacture locally, try and drive some defense exports, and obviously the geopolitical climate. So all these are coming in together and playing out for the market.
Nothing on defense as such, I checked.
Nothing
on
has
it.
been announced?
No, nothing yet.
Yeah,
Got it.
maybe it'll come. Definitely it'll come.
Incentivized for completion within the next 3 years through appropriate fiscal support.
You also let me know if there's anything
land-related
interesting
actions.
which
Yeah.
you are missing.
Sure,
You
sure.
guys can-
Rural
Yeah,
land
just saying
related
that.
actions will include 1. Assignment of unique land parcel identification number, UL PIN, or Bhu Aadhaar for all lands.
Wow.
2. Digitization of cadastral maps. 3. Survey of subdivisions. Survey of map subdivisions as per current ownership. 4. Establishment of land registry. And 5. Linking to the farmers registry. These actions will also facilitate credit flow and other agricultural services. Urban land related actions. Land records in urban areas will be digitized with GIS mapping, an IT-based system for property record administration, updating, and tax administration.
So last they announced 1,000
Wait, guys, if you have any specific questions that you guys want to ask while watching this, please don't, hesitate to ask in the comment section, and I'll pick it up and I'll answer these. Ask these guys. Yeah, you were saying?
So last interesting was that 1,000 crore allocated to space sector, like we did a Chandrayaan. So I think there would be some more project coming up because they have allocated 1,000 crore to space sectors. So there are few listed companies in that sector might be benefited.
So that again comes under what? Defense only?
Not space is a different.
Space is a different, yeah.
And 1,000 crore was allocated.
Yeah, 1,000 crore. Yeah.
How much does like a US allocate to NASA?
Oh, so that'll be a huge
That will
budget.
be huge.
India's budget is very, very small.
But we need to see in the percentage terms as we discussed, because the
Percentage
absolute
of
number
GDP.
we can't compare.
Of course.
But how much we are spending as a
So
percentage?
1,000 crore and out
It's
of
not-
30 lakh crore is not even 1%.
Yeah.
Samadhan portal. Shram Suvidha and Samadhan portal will be revamped to enhance ease of compliance for industry and trade. Capital and entrepreneurship related reforms, financial sector vision and strategy. For meeting financing needs of the economy, our government will bring out a financial sector vision and strategy document to prepare the sector in terms of size, capacity, and skills. This will set the agenda for the next 5 years and guide the work of the government, regulators, financial institutions, and market participants. Taxonomy for climate finance. We will develop taxonomy for climate finance for enhancing the availability of capital for climate adaptation and mitigation. This will support achievement of the country's climate commitments and green transition. Variable capital company structure. We will seek the required legislative approval for providing an efficient and flexible mode for financing leasing of aircrafts and ships and pooled funds of private equity through a variable company structure. Foreign direct investments and overseas investment. The rules and regulations for foreign direct investment and overseas investments will be simplified to 1. Facilitate foreign direct investments, 2. Nudge prioritization, and 3. Promote opportunities for using Indian rupee as a currency for overseas investment.
This is a big
That's
one.
huge.
Yeah. Can you just break it down? What
So
happened?
this entire thing that the globe is trying to de-dollarize is a catching phenomena across the globe. So more and more countries are trying to prioritize their trade in currencies other than dollar, right? So let's say if you have global curbs on Russia trying to do any trade in dollar, then how is Russia managing to export its oil or gas to India, and how is India paying back to Russia? So as of now it's all ruble payment, but Russia basically can't take so much of rupees. Let's say if India has to pay, it will rupee. Russia can't take so much of rupees. So Russia is basically trying and forcing India that they perhaps pay in yuan because they run a trade deficit with China, right? So more and more countries are bilaterally trying and settling trades in their own currencies or currencies of other countries, which could be something other than the dollar.
But why people are going away from the dollar?
To reduce their reliance on dollar. Second is US runs a huge amount of deficit in trillions of dollars, and perhaps everyone is fearing that there might be a risk to US debt someday. That's why the global central banks are rushing towards gold. Central banks are trying to prioritize their trades in currencies other than dollar. So it's all happening, but it's a long way.
And also the sanction on Russia last time when this war happened. That's one of the reasons. That people don't want to be very much leaning towards the dollar, because right now around 55% trades happen in the dollar.
If you come towards the wrong side of US and tomorrow your country ends up under some sanctions, then you're gone. Your entire trade is gone if it is all dependent on dollar. So
And
people want to de-risk.
But how did we end up in this position where we're all dependent on dollar? What did the US
That's
do?
why people are accumulating more and more gold. China has bought record gold. India is doing the same thing.
Correct.
The same way with the Russia. I think the people are trying to, this is the two way. Either you buy more gold, that's kind of a reserve currency, and at the same time you increase more transaction in your own currency. That's how you can gradually shift. It's not that overnight I can
won't
shift
happen
from.
quickly.
Of course, because it's around 55%.
So what if the
trade.
government just announced to move
They
towards that?
try more and more bilateral things where you can, if I'm doing with the UAE for example, I can do with rupee and that currency or something like that.
Yeah. There's something on NPS which has come. Still trying to figure
The
out.
solution will be evolved,
Oh, it came on
which
NPS.
addresses the
Something
relevant
she spoke, I
issues
think.
I'll just check.
while maintaining fiscal prudence to protect the common citizens. Budget estimates for 24-25.
This will be good.
For the year 24-25, total receipts other than borrowings and the total expenditure are estimated at 32.07 lakh crore rupees and 48.21 lakh crore rupees respectively. The net tax receipts are estimated at 25.83 lakh crore rupees. The fiscal deficit is estimated at 4.9%
Wow.
of the GDP.
Oh God.
Lower than
People are going to love this. Market is going to
will
go
shoot.
crazy on
Market
this
will
one.
shoot. Market will shoot.
Net market
This is a
borrowing
crazy number.
through dated
As I told you, this is 26 target.
24-25
And now they're
Number sub 5
Huh.
is massive. Is massive.
So this is something that they're predicting for this year.
This, yeah, they're targeting
the target.
the target was 5.1, they've reduced
Yeah.
it to 4.9, and 2 reduction in fiscal deficit is like
So this is good for the
humongous.
market.
very good for market because you are prudence. When you are spending, you are also controlling that you don't overrun on the budget. So this was a target for 26. So this is 1 year ahead. They are targeting that will achieve that 4.5 in 25 itself and not 26. So that's huge.
So markets will rally also.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
that's what-
big
Let's
time.
see if it's still flat.
Let's see.
Let's just open the voice if we can.
Hate is saying the other guy is 100% Gujarati.
Yeah.
Can you open the voice? I think this is good.
Declining path as percentage of GDP. I will now move to part B.
This
This
is
is
Texas. Texas.
Guys, now it's time for the middle class. Indians
Fasten
to
your
understand.
seat belt.
Indirect
They've introduced
taxes.
NPS for minors.
Minors.
Sir, I start with
Oh.
Will
So
come
now
to-
parents can invest for their children.
it
also.
has decreased
Guardian.
Direct taxes.
tax incidence on the common man, reduced compliance burden and logistics cost for trade and industry, and enhanced revenues of the central and the state governments. It is a success of vast proportions. To multiply the benefits of GST, we will strive to further simplify and rationalize the tax structure and endeavor to expand it to the remaining sectors. My proposals for customs duties intend to support domestic manufacturing,
Wow.
deepen local value addition, promote export competitiveness, and simplify taxation while keeping the interest of the general public and consumers surmount. In Budget 22-23,
This is gonna help the indirect tax
the
reduction
number
because
of
of this.
customs duty rates. I propose to undertake a comprehensive review of the rate structure over the next 6 months to rationalize and simplify it for ease of trade, removal of duty inversion, and reduction of disputes. I shall now take up sector-specific customs duty proposals.
Wow.
Medicine and medical equipments. To provide relief to cancer patients, I propose to fully exempt 3 more medicines from customs duties. I also propose changes in the BCD on X-ray tubes and flat panel detectors for use in medical X-ray machines under the phased manufacturing program so as to synchronize them with the domestic capacity addition. Mobile phone and related parts. With a 3-fold increase in domestic production and almost a 100-fold jump in exports of mobile phones over the last 6 years, the Indian mobile industry has matured. In the interest of consumers, I now propose to reduce the BCD on mobile phone, mobile PCBA,
What
and
does
mobile
BCD mean?
charger
Countervailing duty.
to
So this is more to stop imports from China or stop smaller imports from China so that local manufacturing of mobiles or local domestic mobile equipments can get boosted.
Make in India
are
boost.
critical for sectors like nuclear energy, renewable energy, space,
Nuclear.
defense, telecommunications, and high-tech electronics. I propose to fully exempt customs duties on 25 critical minerals and reduce BCD on 2 of them. This will provide a major fillip to the processing and refining of such minerals and help secure their availability for these strategic and important sectors. Solar energy.
Solar.
Energy transition is critical in the fight against climate change.
Green.
To support energy transition, I propose to expand the list of exempted capital goods for use in the manufacture of solar cells and panels in the country. Further, in view of sufficient domestic manufacturing capacity of solar gas, glass and tinned copper interconnect, I propose not to extend the exemption of custom duties provided to them.
Not to extend.
Marine products. India's seafood exports in the last financial year
deficit is
touched
1.9.
an all-time
Instead of
high of
5.1.
more than
Yes.
60,000 crores of rupees. Frozen shrimp accounted for
We are exporting
about
our seafood to
2/3
other
of
countries.
these exports. To
Seems like-
enhance their competitiveness, I propose to reduce BCD on certain broodstock, polychaete worms, shrimp,
So
and
when you
fish
mean
feed
BCD, like,
to
can you just
5%.
explain what that is? Because she's saying
I
BCD
also
again and
propose
again.
to exempt customs duty
So this
on
is
various
a form
imports
of
for
customs duty
manufacture
which
of
is called a
shrimp,
countervailing duty,
catfish,
which is when you basically under WTO norms, India is not supposed to be is supposed to have fair trade policies against countries from where you are importing and to countries where you are exporting. So what happens is, to stop imports, sometimes you raise a countervailing duty, which means that if I import from this particular country or if I export to this, there is a additional duty which I need to pay, right?
To the government.
To government or to import those kind of things, basically. So what she's doing is she's trying and either increasing those duties or reducing those duties to promote Make in India. It's basically to promote Make in
So
India.
basically encouraging businessmen and business owners in India
Yeah.
to start doing it in India
Yes.
by reducing certain kinds of taxes.
Yes.
That's what's up.
Absolutely.
BCD full form is basic custom duty.
Furthermore,
Basic custom
the
duty.
export duty structure on raw hides
We lost. Okay.
and rationalized. Precious metals. To enhance domestic value addition in gold and precious metal jewelry in the country, I propose to reduce customs duties on gold and silver to 6% and that of platinum to 6.4%.
This is tricky.
Other metals,
Why they are doing that?
steel and copper are important raw materials.
India
To
anyway is a
reduce
large
the
importer
cost
of gold.
production, I propose to remove the BCD on ferronickel and blister copper. I am also continuing with nil BCD on ferrous scrap and nickel cathode and concessional BCD of 2.5% on copper scrap.
So for people watching this, when they hear this, they'll be like, how is this going to benefit me? This seems like it's very technical and very high level. So as a common man who's watching this, how should I evaluate whatever she's saying?
So basically, when you reduce customs duty, right, on certain items, or you increase customs duty on certain items, you are either promoting imports or you are discouraging imports. So it is just to overall balance the trade situation or to boost local manufacturing, right? So if you are reducing the customs duty, that means you can perhaps import more, right? The goods become cheaper as import. If you're reducing the customs duty on gold imports, which means in a way gold smuggling, perhaps the government is thinking there is a lot of gold smuggling which is happening, which is coming through the other route and not through official channels, and India any which ways is a large importer of gold, so they might just reduce the customs duty so that they can try and curb some amount of gold smuggling, right? And when you increase customs duty on certain equipments, that means you are saying that, okay, I don't want to import these things, I would rather promote my own manufacturers who are making this so that they can create more of it and produce more of it.
So as a viewer, firstly, I will see that the government is trying to manage its trade deficit. They want to, promote Make in India.
Yes.
And for certain industries where they're making it easier for business owners to import, I can probably see a reduction in the price for the end consumer because it's becoming cheaper for them to, import it and manufacture it. Can I make that kind of an assumption, or it's not going to
It's
happen?
very difficult because perhaps first reason why we were importing was local manufacturing was expensive. So now that you can't import any longer, if the customs duty has gone up, you will have to buy locally, which which was a little costlier. So this doesn't reduce the price
So it might
that
increase
much.
the price for
Yes,
people in the
yes,
short
yes,
term.
yes.
But why is it so important when we say make in India? Like, why is it so important for us to embrace that?
Creating the job, manufacturing, because we lack so much. We are more on export
Direct
of
taxes.
services.
We will continue our efforts to simplify taxes, taxes,
Let's see.
improve taxpayer services, provide tax certainty, and reduce litigation while enhancing revenues for funding the development and welfare schemes of the government. It has been our endeavor to simplify taxation. We have taken a number of measures in the last few years, including introduction of simplified tax regimes without exemptions and deductions for corporate tax and for personal income tax. This has been appreciated by taxpayers. 58% of corporate tax came from the simplified tax regime in the financial year 22-23. Similarly, as per data available till now, for the last fiscal, more than 2/3 have availed the new personal income tax regime.
Wow.
Comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act. I am now announcing a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act
Seems big.
1961.
Comprehensive.
The purpose is to make the act concise, lucid, easy to
New.
read and understand. This will reduce disputes and litigation, thereby providing
move towards new.
tax certainty to the
Yeah,
taxpayers.
this will be the most important
I will
part
also
of the
bring
budget,
down
so
the
please listen
demand
carefully.
embroiled in litigation. It is proposed to be completed in 6 months. A beginning is being made in the finance bill by simplifying the tax regime for charities, tedious rate structures, provisions of reassessment and such provisions, and capital gains taxation. Simplification for charities and tedious. Two tax exemption regimes. The two tax exemption regimes for charities are proposed to be merged into one. The 5% tedious rate on many payments is being merged into the 2% tedious rate, and the 20% tedious rate on repurchase of units by mutual funds or UTI is being withdrawn. Tedious rate on e-commerce operators is proposed to be reduced from 1 to 0.1%. Moreover, credit of TCS is proposed to be given in the TDS to be deducted on salary. Further, I propose to decriminalize delay for payment of TDS up to the due date of filing statement for the same. I also plan to provide a standard operating procedure for TDS defaults and simplify and rationalize the compounding guidelines for such defaults. Simplification of reassessment. I propose to thoroughly simplify the provisions for reopening and reassessment. An assessment hereinafter can be reopened beyond 3 years from the end of the assessment year only if the escaped income is 50 lakh rupees or more,
Oh, wow.
up to a maximum period of 5 years from the end of the assessment year. Even in such cases, a time limit of 6 years before the year of the search, as against the existing time limit of 10 years, is being proposed. This will reduce tax uncertainty and disputes. Simplification and rationalization of capital gains.
It's long pending.
Capital gains taxation is also proposed to be hugely simplified.
Hugely.
Short-term gains on certain financial assets shall henceforth attract a tax rate of 20%.
Oh, increased.
Ooh,
Oh,
15 to
God.
20.
All other financial assets and all non-financial assets shall continue to attract the applicable tax rate. Long-term gains on all financial and non-financial assets, on the other hand, will attract a tax rate of 12.5%.
2.5%
For the
increase.
benefit of the lower and the middle
This is not
income
good, guys.
classes, I propose to increase the limit of exemption
1
of
lakh, sir.
capital gains on certain financial assets to 1.25 lakh rupees per year. Listed financial assets held for more than a year will be classified as long-term, while unlisted financial assets and all non-financial assets will have to be held for at least 2 years to be classified as long-term.
Listed, she said 1.5.
12 months.
Unlisted bonds and debentures,
Same.
debt mutual funds,
This is
and
interesting.
market-linked debentures,
MDL.
irrespective of holding period,
All the
however,
short-term.
will attract tax on capital gains at applicable rates.
Applicable rate, marginal.
Taxpayer
Tax
Nothing
rate.
services.
In that.
All the major taxpayer services under GST and most services under customs and income tax have been digitalized. All remaining services of customs and income tax, including rectification and order giving effect to appellate orders, shall be digitalized and made paperless over the next 2 years. Litigation and appeals. While our concerted efforts to reduce pendency of appeals at various appellate fora are beginning to show good results, it will continue to engage our highest attention. To dispose of the backlog of first appeals, I plan to deploy more officers to hear and decide such appeals, especially those with large tax effect.
Markets
For
will be affected.
resolution
Market is
of
already
certain
impacted.
Market is already impacted.
Around 1% Nifty down.
pending in appeal,
Because your
I'm
short-term
also
capital gain now
proposing
will be charged at
reverse
20%. This is the
reverse
first
in
impression. We'll decode that.
2024.
And your long-term capital gain would be
Further,
12.5
I
from
propose to
10%.
increase
So
monetary
that's
limits
huge considering
for
that we were
filing
expecting
appeals
not much
related
will be
to
changed.
direct
Yeah.
taxes,
उसके सामने
excise,
1 lakh का जो
and
exemption था,
service
that 1 lakh rupees
tax in the
exemption in
tax
capital gain
tribunals,
has been increased to
high
1 lakh
courts,
25,000.
and
That's the
Supreme
first
Court
impression.
Yeah.
to
We'll
60
understand in
lakh
detail.
rupees, 2 crore rupees and 5 crore respectively.
Market is down 1%.
With a view to reduce litigation and provide certainty in international taxation, we will expand the scope of safe harbor rules and make them more attractive. We will also streamline the transfer pricing assessment procedure. Employment and investment. I have a few proposals to promote investment and foster employment. First of all, to bolster the Indian startup ecosystem,
I hope something
boost the
happens.
entrepreneurial spirit, and to support innovation, I propose to abolish the so-called angel tax for all classes of investors.
That's huge. Okay. Angel tax has been removed.
How much was it before?
Second,
It was at
there
what
is
percentage?
tremendous
I didn't.
potential for
remember.
cruise tourism in India. To give a fillip to this employment-generating industry, I am proposing a simpler tax regime for foreign shipping companies operating domestic cruises in the country.
Somebody like, these are proposals, right? Can this be rejected?
India's a world
fine.
Budget has to get passed in the
diamond
parliament.
cutting
This has to
and
get
polishing
passed.
industry.
But most
There can
people
be
It will because they have majority.
Number of skilled workers. To further promote the development of this sector, we would provide for safe harbor rates for foreign mining companies selling raw diamonds in the country. Fourth, to attract foreign
huge.
capital
If they are reducing
for our
the 30.9%
development
angel
needs,
tax
I propose
to
to
zero.
reduce
That
the
has been
corporate
reduced.
tax
Yeah.
rate on foreign
That people were
companies
complaining, the startup were
from
complaining
40
that
to 35%.
if I pass from a foreign,
Yeah.
there is no tax, but in
Deepening
India
the
it's a
tax
tax.
base.
Correct.
I
Deepening the
have a
tax
couple of proposals for deepening the tax base.
Some guys like 1 crore
I
profit.
think this is important.
Transaction tax on futures
STT.
and options
STT has
God.
of
increased.
securities is proposed to be increased to 0.02% and 0.1% respectively.
How much was it?
Second, for reasons
think it
of
was
equity,
0.001
I propose
and
to
something.
tax income received on buyback of shares in the hands of recipients.
Okay.
Other proposals.
Tax
To
buyback.
improve social security benefits, deduction of expenditure by employers towards NPS is proposed to be increased from 10 to 14% of
Of
the
basic.
employee's salary.
That's good.
That's very good.
Similarly, deduction of this expenditure up to 14% of salary from the income of employees in private sector, public sector banks and undertakings opting for the new tax regime is proposed to be provided. Indian professionals
So it was
working in
0.01%
multinationals
STT on
get
FNO.
ESOPs
That has been increased to Mohit.
and
0.02.
invest in social
Double.
security schemes
Huge.
and other movable assets abroad. Non-reporting of such small foreign assets has penal consequences
That's all
under
there.
the Black Money Act.
That's there.
Such non-reporting of movable assets up to 20 lakh rupees is proposed to be depenalized.
Depenalized.
Other major proposals in the finance bill relate to withdrawal of equalization levy of 2%, expansion of tax benefits to certain funds and entities in IFSCs, and immunity from penalty and prosecution to Benamidar on full and true disclosure so as to improve conviction under the Benami transaction.
I'm like, someone get us some ice cream. We are cooked.
1988. Personal income tax.
Personal income tax. Oh God.
Coming to personal
Slap.
income tax rates, I have two announcements to make for those opting for the new tax
Something.
regime.
Here's something
Benefit.
good will happen.
First, the standard deduction for
50,000
salaried
to-
employees is proposed to be increased from 50,000 to 75,000
Yes.
rupees.
Chalo. Something.
So now you don't pay tax till 7,75,000.
Similarly, deduction on family pension for pensioners is proposed to be enhanced from 15,000 to 25,000 rupees.
Okay.
This will provide relief to about 4 crore salaried individuals and pensioners. Second, in the new tax regime, the tax rate structure is proposed to be revised as follows.
Oh.
0 to 3 lakh rupees, nil.
Okay.
3 to 7 lakh rupees,
Okay.
5%. 7 to 10 lakh rupees, 10%. 10 to 12 lakh rupees, 15%. 12 to 15 lakh rupees, 20%. And above 15 lakh rupees, 30%. As a result of these changes, a salaried employee in the new tax regime stands to save up to 17,500 rupees in income tax. Apart from these, I am also making some other changes as given in the annexure. As a result of these proposals, revenue of about 37,000 crore, that is 29,000 crore in direct taxes and 8,000 crore in indirect taxes will be foregone, while revenue of about 30,000 crore rupees will be additionally mobilized. Thus, the total revenue foregone is about 7,000 crores annually. Mr. Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august house. Jai Hind.
1 hour 26 minutes. है ना?
Yeah.
1 hour 26. Still one of the shortest. So much work for me, Sharan.
So what happens now?
Too many changes, eh?
Let's discuss.
Then, yeah, you can just keep on mute if you just want. We
All right,
need-
guys.
Yeah.
How was it?
Oh God.
First, let me hear what you guys have to say in one word. If you have to describe what you just heard, comment down below in one word. What is your initial impression? And then we'll go into the full deep dive of everything that has happened. These guys have taken down like 7-10 pages of notes. Let's go into the deep dive of everything. One word, guys. I want to see. Lady came, crashed the market and left.
Oh goodness.
Cooked, screwed capital markets. Disappointing as usual. Cooked, doomed, bad, worst, it's over. She's already... Okay, I'm not going to say that. Cooked, overcooked, crying, nothing else. Worst, panicky, going to sleep, doomed, lag gayi, leaving country. AP and Bihar are the biggest gainers. Busted. Fantabulous, leaving country. Just one question. Country chhod do. All right. My life tenure 2 hours. Cool, guys.
Okay.
Obviously, most of you guys are not liking what you guys just heard. What are your initial impressions, Nitesh? You go.
Sharan, so Sitharaman has given in one hand something, and other hand she took it away. Why? So if I say what you are gaining, if you are opting for a new regime, you are getting 2 benefits. Your standard deduction has been raised from 50,000 to 75,000. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Another thing is that change in slab rate. She mentioned that 17,500 of benefit. How that's coming? So current slab of income tax 0 to 3 lakh, no taxes. That has been same, no change in that. After that, currently it's 3 lakh to 6 lakh, 5%. She tweaked that to 3 to 7. So up to 1 more lakh, you just paying 5%. Earlier it's 3 to 6, now it's 3 to 7. The next slab start to 7 to 10, 10%, 10 to
So
12,
basically,
15%.
earlier that extra 1 lakh was charged at 10%.
Right.
Now it is at 5%. So I
Yes.
saved 5,000 rupees there.
Yes.
Right.
Got it.
And plus you get that 25,000 ka standard deduction.
That is separate. That depends
Right.
on how high your income is, right? The
No, standard deduction remains flat for everyone. So that's
But
the
depends on
benefit.
how high your income is, right? If you are in the highest tax slab, then that savings will be more compared
Right.
to a person who's in a lower income.
True. So this is the thing on the what is the one's hand that had been given to the salaried employee at least, and also we are opting for a new regime. At the same time, your capital gain from the
Wait, nothing else changed in the new tax regime? 3 to 7 is 5%.
yeah, I said 3 to 7 5%, 7 to 10 10%, 10 to 12 15%, 12 to 15 20%. So 15 over more than 15 30%. So you have to just change that 1 lakh instead
1 lakh
of
has
6
moved
lakh.
up everywhere.
More
That's
perfect.
it.
That's it.
That's
Too
it.
simple to remember. Yeah, but that will save some taxes for everyone. For everyone, not just if you are earning till 7 lakh. Everyone, because we pay tax based on the slab.
Correct.
So everyone will have some savings.
Correct.
That is first thing.
What she's saying is maximum you can save is 17,500
Yeah.
rupees if you are earning in the highest
Right.
income. So 17,500 rupees has
Yeah, we'll decode that and we'll give some example also.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do some
Yeah.
examples.
And on the capital gain, that's a huge and that's a negative we are seeing on the market as well. So your long-term capital gain right now it's 10%,
Correct.
which has been increased to 12.5. So that's a 2.5% increase. But your capital gain is exempt till 1 lakh. That has been now 25,000 higher, which is 1 lakh 25,000.
Yeah.
So if you have a long-term capital gain, which is more than 12 months from equity and equity mutual fund, you don't pay any tax now. But if it's crossing 1 lakh 25,000, you now pay 12.5% tax.
So just to summarize, let's say I sold my stock market worth 2 lakh. I got 2 lakh profit.
Right.
Yeah.
Last year, if I had sold it, I had to pay tax on the 1
1
lakh
lakh,
because
which is-
1 lakh is exempted.
Absolutely.
Now, because the exemption is 1 lakh 25,000, I have to pay tax on 75,000.
75,000.
Yes.
But earlier it was 10%
10,000.
tax on
That's
75,000.
10,000.
Earlier it
Yeah.
was 10% on the
on
1 lakh.
1 lakh.
Now it is 12.5% on the 75,000.
75,000.
So that is the difference.
That's the
Yes.
difference.
But people are making huge profits, they will get penalized more.
Totally.
Also discouraging the short-term investment in the market by way of instead of 15% short-term capital gain, now you pay 20%.
This is
This
a
is
big one.
across.
That's the big.
I think this is the biggest thing,
Across
if you
all
ask me.
assets.
All asset class.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
what we heard, and of course we'll see the fine print of the finance bill now.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
15 to 20% means you are paying almost same thing on everything. On your house, on long term, you pay 20%. On gold, physical gold, you pay 20%. Now on equity, which was given a benefit of 15%, has been raised to 20%. So now as such, no benefit in a short-term capital.
I think they've
That's
equated all financial assets at one go. They're saying any short-term gain made out of any financial assets will now be taxed at 20%. There is no differential rate on anything. This is more also, if you think from a government's perspective, to curb short-term trading. I think the whole focus here has been to take out short-term traders and to plant more long-term vision for investors. Increasing the STT on FNO, I think is just to...
But Mohit, a lot of people earn their livelihood by trading. That's their full-time job.
Absolutely.
How is it
Absolutely.
fair for them?
I think government is saying if you are earning, you might as well pay tax, which is equivalent at all asset classes. So you can't have a preferential treatment if you are trading in equities for short-term gains, right? And if you are doing some other financial assets, then you cannot be paying a higher tax rate. So they are saying if it is short-term gain, then pay 20% for all financial assets.
Do you
That's
like
what
it?
Of course not. Of course not. Right? Look, anyone in the market will not like this. No one likes to pay higher
What is
taxes,
happening to the
Sharan.
markets right now? Any changes?
Markets, I think, a little negative, but not hugely negative. I think the overall fiscal deficit deficit number is holding the market.
Right.
Trust you me, that's a very, very big signal of
So
intent
the
from the
fiscal
government.
deficit reduction is increasing the market, and this news about capital gain
Capital
taxation
markets.
is reducing the market.
No.
So overall, it's holding.
As we are talking, the markets are down 1.5%. Sensex is down around 1100 odd points, and Nifty is down 600 points. So I think now it is playing out in the market. The script is now playing out.
1.5% down.
1.5% down.
That's
So
big,
this is
right?
a good
That's
cut.
big.
This
That's
is a
big.
good cut. Yes.
Good cut. You're smiling.
No, but you don't have
You can't do
anything.
anything.
You can't do anything, right? You
It's
might as
enough.
well look at the market and figure out. It was green in the morning. It's now suddenly deep red in the morning.
Yeah.
Only sectors which are positive are FMCGs, consumer discretionaries. Those are the sectors which are still playing out in the market positively. But rest everything else is like hugely negative.
So guys, please type what kind of losses you're seeing right now in your portfolio. Please type it right now. I would love to see it. And we have about 5,300 people live right now. The number of people live has just skyrocketed since the budget has ended, and you guys are dying to know what else is happening. Please ask your questions instead of just saying, I will die poor and all of that. Any questions that you guys have about what you should be doing with your investment strategy, please ask. Any direct, specific questions is also
Look,
entered.
what I foresee, Sharan, is that before the budget becomes applicable, there is always some time lag. Let's say, I think we are in July right now. Perhaps the finance bill will get passed and budget will be applicable from effective a particular date, right? You might see some profit booking because people can pay taxes at lower rates. Booking of profits and then deploying back is a very, very common strategy. If you can book some short-term gains at 10% rate, right? You might as well book it right now rather than booking it later and paying
This
a
is
20%
applicable
tax.
from which month?
So the finance bill will get passed, and my sense it should be applicable 1st of August. I'm not pretty sure on what
So
date.
fast it will get implemented.
It should. This is the budget session going on right
Because
now,
right
so
now
it will get discussed in
otherwise,
next 24 hours.
If it's discussed in Feb, it starts from 1st of April.
Correct.
Yeah.
correct.
But we are midway in the financial year.
So that means there will be a lot of selling to book profits at a lower tax.
That is what you're perhaps seeing in the market.
That is where
People
the
are trying to
markets are
book
dropping.
profits so that they pay at a lesser tax rate. You can book your long-term gains, pay 10% and come out and whatever. We might just want to call it grandfathering. You can
Yeah.
just grandfather your gains out there and you
Correct.
book your
because
short-term
if they
gains.
hold
and
it
you-
beyond August 1st, then if they sell it, they'll have to pay 12.5%. So they're like,
Absolutely.
I'll just pay 10% now and then reinvest in the market and then
Absolutely.
Then let's see.
Absolutely. It also depends on the quantum of your gain, whether it is short term, long term, whatever is the portion of your gain. So you will have to smartly play this out. But I can foresee a lot of profit booking happening in the market just because
And
of
that's
this.
what
thing.
they're saying also, 1.5% drop so far.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How low do you think it'll go, the markets?
No, that is
It's
anyone's
already
guess.
recovering. We are at
Recovering.
1% right now when we are speaking. It's 24.
Look, Sharan, it's rotation of money, right? If I have to just book it, I will just book it once and then again
then buy
redeploy
again.
it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've booked my gain, I've booked my losses, I've done all my
Correct.
tax jugglery at one go, and then perhaps I can again see buying. Look, it is not a negative budget from a
Right.
country's perspective. From a trader's perspective, that's one different part. I'm a market trader. My whatever 10 to 3 job is on the screen.
Yeah.
Then you are perhaps a little disappointed. From a country's perspective, I don't think so. It's a bad budget, right? So from that perspective, it's
So your
a
initial perspective is this is a good budget.
I would say it is a great budget. I just love the fiscal deficit number, and I just love some of the employment programs which the government has done. And perhaps you will have to go through the fine print.
Yeah.
Barring the taxes part, taxes will never make anyone happy. They've never made anyone happy.
But
So.
Nitish, I think you have a different opinion because you are doing tax planning for a lot of people, and
Right.
I don't think this is good news.
If you ask me, only disappointment is increase of that 2.5%. 15 to 20 within that, the short-term capital gain happening from 15 to 20, I'm fine with that, honestly.
Why are
Because
you fine with it?
anyway, we are promoting the long-term investing share,
Correct.
right? If you are a trader, if someone is trader, that's two-way thing because now you will be paying 20% tax and also your in FNO, your STT has gone up, which
Yeah.
will impact your overall profit because your cost would be higher. But at the same time, Sharan, it's a good budget like Mohit mentioned because see, we need to see a broader picture. The only thing I don't like right now, as of now, what I've seen from the budget and the first impression is that increase of 2.5%.
On the long-term capital gains.
We still have very few people taking part in the market. Let's say around 9.5 crore.
Correct.
Right? We want
About
more and
15
more.
crore demat accounts are
Yeah,
there.
but that's the duplication of DMAT. But if you see the number that's shared, it's around 9.5 crore people are actively or just say it's unique individual who are investing in the
So
market
we
by
have,
way
a,
of
we,
a
have
direct
a
equity.
we have a 4 to 5% participation rate in the markets.
Right. So you want more and more people to come into that. Now
Yeah.
you are discouraging by increasing the long-term capital gain. That's the
Yeah.
only negative. But at the same time, if you see other developed market, their capital gain is as good as their slab rate.
Where? In the US?
Yeah, of course. They pay huge taxes.
But short term they don't pay anything, no?
No, they pay on that
They
also.
pay
Short
on
term they pay,
actually
long term they don't
accrued
pay.
gains
Accrued
also,
gains
Sharan.
also.
They pay on
That's
accrued
the
gains
worst.
also. In India, we only pay on realized gains. So we don't understand. They pay a huge amount of estate duty in US and other markets,
Right.
which we don't pay
When
in
you mean
India.
accrued gains, even if they don't sell, they have to
Right.
pay.
Yes,
That's
in
the
the
worst.
US.
yes.
Like how it happens in FD.
Right,
Yes,
perfect.
absolutely.
So I think overall the budget is good. And if you see, Sharan, more people, I know people are investing in the markets, they are doing FN and all that thing, but if their main income is salary, right, they are getting some benefits.
Correct.
So which is a recurring one.
Yeah.
You might not book profit every month or every year, but this salary, the benefit you are getting on that taxation and the new regime also. When I say salary, it's not only that. Even if you are as a professional freelancer are opting for a new regime, you're going to get all these benefits.
Yeah.
Your slab has also changed, right?
Correct.
one thing which I really don't like is the long-term tax capital gain getting
Yeah, we
increased
just
from 10 to
mentioned
12.5. That is not healthy for an economy where you are promoting savings into financial instruments.
Correct.
Right? Because the more your taxes eat, the more you are then diverted towards some other asset classes, anything. I think one good thing which they've done is they've covered all unlisted things in one go. There was some ambiguity on unlisted bonds, on unlisted structures not getting taxed or getting taxed at capital tax rates. They've made it all uniform. 24 months unlisted will be taxed at marginal rate, right? So I think they've gotten some clarity and uniformity on the capital gains part. One thing which I really like is the NPS part from an employer's deduction going up from 10% to 14%. That's a huge amount
but that
of
is
saving.
lower. One could argue that it is lower disposable income, lower
that
in-hand
would be
salary for the middle class people.
Which is true, but it promotes long-term retirement corpus. As government is moving away from OPS to NPS, right, which is a designated goal for the government. Government can't have a defined pension or a guaranteed pension liability. They can just have a promised pension amount depending on the market scenarios. No government can give you a guaranteed pension amount.
But
right?
is that compulsory, like the NPS contribution?
No, it's not.
It's
No,
not, right?
It's not.
I
It's
can opt out.
voluntary.
But
So right
you
now
get
it's
tax
10%.
savings, right? So you would want to do that.
So right now it's 10% of basic, that has raised to 14%. So if you don't need that much disposable income in hand, right? If you're utilizing this plus a standard deduction plus a SED, we'll do some of the example. I'm already working on that.
Perfect.
Then there would be a good tax saving. If I include these three things, 10 to 14% my this
Basic.
NPS thing, then your standard deduction from 50 to 75 and the slab. If I combine these three, there would be a huge tax saving.
Can you do a quick example of a real
I need
life
to check.
scenario? You will need to check. Let
Yeah.
me just see some numbers my team.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. But this 10 to 14% is over and above your ATC, right? It is over and above that. So it always helps you, encourages you to save more.
Okay, I have one number on overall spending of that 11.11 lakh crore. Okay, so defense is getting 4,54,000 crore.
Okay.
Your rural development is getting 2.65 lakh crore. Agriculture and allied activities getting 1.51 lakh crore. Home Affairs 1.5 lakh crore. Education 1.25 lakh crore. IT and Telecom 1.16 lakh crore. Health 89,000 crore. Energy 68,000 crore. Social welfare around 56,000 crore. This is a breakup of that total capital expenditure. We call capex. 11.11 lakh crore. This is the breakup of that.
But totally you said was 30 lakh crore. No, where is that going?
That's the overall expend. That's the overall size of the budget.
Size of the
overall
budget.
expenditure
But
of
where
the
is the
government.
remaining money going? This 11 lakh crore I understood.
This 11 lakh crore is a capex.
No, the government will have to pay salaries, will have to pay other things, expenses, pensions.
They did that
all those
one-time
liabilities,
activity
so.
like development in the Bihar and that.
Okay, that money went for all those other things.
Everything is counted.
Okay.
But this is a capex and this is a breakup of
So
that
this is the
11.11.
capex. This is what's going to give that
Multiplier
effect.
Absolutely.
The
This
number is already announced in the interim budget. Now this is a actual happening. So defense has again got a huge share.
So my question is, why is India spending so much money on defense? Why are we not spending on education? Because we discussed earlier that India is suffering from a skill development problem. Not a lot of people are getting jobs. So why are we still spending 4.5 lakh crore on defense and only 1.25 lakh crore on education?
Look, I think India is a unique geographical case where you are surrounded by hostile nations all across, right? And territorial integrity
about
for
Pakistan
India,
and China.
absolutely, right? So it is not a favorable equation for India when it comes to the neighborhood, immediate neighborhood, and you have to do that. And plus, you are a huge country, right? So even maintaining peace and order, law, everything within the country. You have different kind of insurgencies within the country. You have Maoists, you have other forms of problems, right? So
Yeah.
you need that kind of defense spending, you need that kind of army. And plus, if you're wanting to be a global superpower, right, deterrent is the best form of attack in this
What
new
is deterrent?
geopolitical, which means you develop enough and more deterrent capability that no one ever tries and
Right.
attacks you, or no one tries and encroaches upon your territory, which means you having enough nuclear arsenal, you having enough fighter jets, you having enough submarines, right?
So it
you
gives
have
more negotiation power.
Absolutely,
When
absolutely.
Modi goes to different countries
Totally.
and talks to.
Totally.
And that's why we are
Totally.
manufacturing so much of defense also, and we are exporting that. So that's how you are controlling your all geopolitical situation.
But having said which, yes, education is one line.
Needs to
Even
see
if
that.
the amount which is allocated gets rightfully
Utilized.
spent or utilized, it will be a huge one.
Interesting.
Also, one important thing is that still I'm trying to check, but I think the 75,000 deduction is given only to new regime. I need to check that. Even
Yeah,
given
she
to-
said.
Only
She
to-
said
she
it
shared
is
that.
only for the new
So,
regime.
So can you explain to the audience what is the standard deduction?
What is the standard deduction?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like if you are getting income from a salary, okay, when government took out all the deduction from the new regime, they wanted to give some benefits. Like you used to get a benefit for the conveyance and all that thing. They removed everything. So they introduced a 50,000 of standard deduction. Okay. Earlier it was not given to new regime. Okay. So in the last budget, in the 23, they said that the 50K, because see, what is the new regime? New regime, they want a simpler version of filing your return or understanding the overall income tax. So they said, we will give you benefit in the slab rate, but we will not allow any kind of deduction. Then people were not going for that because it was
Yeah.
not beneficial.
Yeah.
Then they introduced the standard deduction for a new regime. So that was 50,000
Yeah.
in which is in 23 budget they gave. Now they have increased that to 75,000. So for example, let's say you are earning 7,75,000.
Before we get to the numbers, I just want to make the audience understand that as a business owner, I can show expenses and reduce my
Taxes.
taxable income.
True.
But as a salaried person, let's say I'm making 10 lakhs per annum. If I go partying, vacations and all of that, I can't say to the government that this is my expenses, so I will not pay tax on that. So standard deduction is one way that the government is saying that, okay, you have expenses.
Yes.
You can deduct this from your income.
Perfect.
Earlier it was 50,000 rupees, which is nothing actually because
Absolutely.
my expenses are much more. Now they are saying it is 75,000 rupees.
75,000.
So it has lowered my tax outgo to as high as if I'm in the highest income slab. 30% of 25,000 rupees is about 7,500 rupees. So I'm paying like 7,500 rupees lesser
Right.
in my tax outgo if I'm in the highest tax slab. So that is the
benefit. And the benefit of that 1 lakh rupees.
What is
That
that 1 lakh
instead of 3 to 6 lakh,
Huh.
the new slab is 3 to 7 lakh. So even if your income falls into that bracket, you just pay 5%. And now this benefit is across everyone, to everyone. Why? Because even if you are earning 50 lakh or crore, okay, you need to pay taxes based on your slab rate.
Correct.
So when I'm counting my taxes on that 3 to 7 lakh now, that's a 4 lakh rupees of bracket. On that, I'll just pay 5%.
5%. Earlier that extra 1 lakh was at 10%.
10%.
That extra 1 lakh has now gone to the 5%.
Right. So around benefit of 5,000.
Yeah, but every slab it has
Yeah.
moved out.
Yes,
So
moved
that
out.
is all adding up to 17,500 rupees is what.
The max
Max
benefit
benefit
which will
you
happen
can expand.
for investors for tax filers under the new tax regime.
So 17,500 rupees saved here.
Yes.
And we also discussed that 7,500 rupees saved in the standard deduction part for the highest tax slab.
No, I think standard deduction is a part of this entire thing.
Is
17 and a half comes with standard deduction.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
That
yes.
they
That's
always always say that the benefit including all the
Okay.
things.
The benefit
Only
including
thing-
everything.
See, so out of three things, Sharan, increase in slab, increase in standard deduction. Only benefit we need to see is that increase in the NPS limit. Because that's voluntarily.
Yeah,
These
that's
two things
voluntary.
anyway you will get it.
Yeah.
Right? Now the voluntary thing is that you want to opt for a 10% of your basic or a 14% of basic. That will also benefit you into saving taxes.
And there is one more small portion. If in your family you are receiving some pension income, then the limit of exemption was 15,000. That's been increased to 25,000, right?
Got it.
So that's also
So
an additional.
net what I have to think is 17,500 rupees extra savings I can somehow get this particular year. That
Spend
is the-
3 hours on a nice budget day, rainy morning, and we have said 17,500. That's not bad. Unless you are a trader, you are paying more.
Got it. So guys, how many of you all are happy with that 17,500 rupees savings that you guys are making? If you guys are happy with it, say yes. If no, Say no.
The trick is if they are in the new tax regime. My assumption is bulk of the audience also might be in the old tax regime because of the housing loan benefits and other benefits and everything.
But she mentioned 2/3 are filing as a new regime,
which is great.
good.
Which is
but
great
now
sign.
after this, more and
More
more
will
people
file.
will go.
I think it's a nudge towards new regime.
Because this, I just confirmed with my team. It's this 75,000 benefit is only for the new regime, and not for the old. So I'm just reconfirming that.
Now, that's an interesting question to tackle now. Which regime to choose now? The old regime or the new regime? How do I understand?
Yeah. So it always depends upon the, like Mohit mentioned, what type of deduction allowances you get. For example, if I have a housing loan, I get that 2 lakh rupees of benefit if I'm paying
Section
interest.
24B,
Section 24B
interest
interest, right? That you get. Now you have some allowances, like you have HRA. Now you have, let's say, meal coupons and all that thing. If I include all this, till now, if your salary is like around 11 lakh rupees, okay, till now, and if your all the allowances and deductions, let's say your salary is 15 lakh and your all the allowances and deduction, which we just talk about, your ATC, ATD and all that thing, is roughly around 4,25,000. Your income is 15 lakh and your allowance and deduction is roughly around 4,25,000. It's a break even. You pay tax in a new or old, it's same.
Okay.
So now that has changed.
That has changed.
That has
this
changed.
was before.
This was before. Why it has changed? Because now you'll get that standard deduction which is higher.
Correct.
Your slab has also changed. So we'll rework that number. That now what would be that break even point?
So we have the number here.
Wow.
The number is 4,83,333.
Okay.
So earlier you were saying that if your deductions is about 4 lakh, deductions and exemptions adding up together is 4,25,000. If you can cross that threshold, then you should choose the old tax regime,
Perfect.
other than new tax regime.
Perfect.
But now, because the finance minister has improved the new tax regime by increasing the standard deduction and by increasing that slabs, now if you can make your deductions and exemptions more than 4,83,000, only then you need to go to the old tax regime.
Perfect.
Otherwise, stick to the new tax regime.
True.
So I think for most people who are starting out their career, who don't have a home loan and all of that, for them, getting that exemptions and deductions about that 4.8 lakh mark is quite hard.
Absolutely.
So they might have to.
But you also have to remember it's a one-way street. You go into the new tax regime, then you can't come back to the old tax regime.
But not for the
once you
sell
get-
right.
Huh?
Not for the sell right. Sell right
Salary
can
can.
choose new regime, old regime every year. If you are a freelancer or a businessman,
Then you can't.
just get one round trip. So
What
for
is
example,
that? What
when
is
I say if you are a sell right, if your return you are filing is ITR 1, ITR 2, which you are filing your return as a sell right plus capital gain and all that thing. Now you can change your regime every year. Let's say I don't have housing loan right now. If I buy a house this year,
I'll go to old tax regime.
I go to old tax regime. If, like you said the number, if all the deduction and allowances make sense me to go to old.
So salaried people are allowed to switch.
Every year. But if you are a freelancer, which means, or a professional, which filing ITR 3.
Like freelancer, like professional, you mean doctor, lawyer, those kind of professionals.
Right. All that thing. Like in freelancer also, you are giving some consultancy and all that thing, business or profession owner. Now, you are filing ITR 3. Then, you can't change your regime every time. Your by default regime is new regime for everyone. Now you get one round trip. Matlab you can take old and again come back to new. That's
Once.
it. What's round trip?
Why
That's
is it like that? Why can't they also keep switching?
Because I think there is more things when you are business owner or professional. Okay, either they want to discourage that changes happening in that level, and that's why more people who are in the professionals and all that thing are not opting for a new regime. I think that's a valid point, Sharan, that they should also be allowed to do that. So at least they will move towards the new regime. But there might be some practical challenges, and that's why they must
From an operational point of view for the government.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the people.
No.
But bad if you are a freelancer or as a professional, you can't keep switching to change and reduce your taxes. Cool. What else do we want to discuss? Let's just see
I think there are a few important things
what
which
the
is
Janata is asking. 1 second.
taxes on foreign companies have been reduced.
Killing it on YouTube.
So it's a good one for foreign companies to start operating in India now. It's become a little easier.
So I guess somebody is asking, should we go in the new tax regime? I hope that doubt has been clarified with this, a detailed discussion with a practical example. Interest on house loan used to be uncapped. No, that is only if you're letting it out.
Letting it out. Yeah. Otherwise, it's the limit
It's
of
2
2
lakh.
lakh rupees only.
Yeah.
So, Sharan, again, if you talk about the negative, which people were generally expecting, of course, they want to discourage the old regime. So, no change in ATC, which is your deduction.
Yeah.
No changes in ATD, which is your health insurance premium and all that thing. People were expecting at least this ATD should also be allowed in the new regime.
Correct.
Which has not happened. Because see, this is a very necessity thing. We all as a personal finance professional say, you need to have term plan or a health insurance, and both of these you need.
Those
right?
deductions are not available in the new tax regime even now.
Even now. And there is even no changes for the old regime also.
Correct.
So they are in a way not encouraging people to go for that.
We were also expecting that the GST is removed on these health
At least,
insurance premiums
from
because
18%.
insurance penetration is so low in this country. That also has not happened.
No.
Right. So these are kind of a negative. In one way, they're given that 25,000 benefit. That's not significant.
The government takes in one hand and gives in the other.
Look, expecting government to remove GST from any category is a wish list. They might perhaps reduce the rates or tinker with it, but once a thing has come into the GST net, it's very difficult for it to go out. So if insurance premium have come into the GST net, it won't.
It's a very tricky job, even for the finance minister.
True.
I mean,
Very
we can't just
Absolutely.
keep blaming the government. It's very difficult because they have to run the country also.
Yeah.
They want to keep somebody happy and somebody will be sad. At the end of the day, they still have to make their money because to run the country.
No, as she said, the overall effect of these tax measures, of the direct tax measures, is a negative 7,000 crore on the government.
Oh, they
government,
said that?
She said, she mentioned
So
the
they
number.
actually took a loss.
They actually took a loss implementing all these things. Direct tax numbers. So I'm not pretty sure on
So
the capital
7,000
gains.
crore lesser money they're going
Lesser money they're going to get on the
But
income
compared
tax.
to last year, they would have increased, right? Or reduced?
No. Overall, the impact will be a less revenue for government, which is lesser by 7,000 odd crores, the number what she mentioned, right?
So the capital gain change, Sharan, that 20% in the short term and of course 12.5% in long term will impact at least 9.5 crore investors, because right now 9.5 crore are the investors who wants 10% of the overall equity market. In that, if you see that 36 lakh crore through direct equity and rest 28 lakh crore through mutual fund. This set of people will get impacted.
The 10 crore people.
10 crore, yeah. 10 crore people will get impacted because you will book profit today or tomorrow, right? It might be a short term or long term.
This
but
is
you will
coming to
pay
that earlier
higher tax.
argument which Mohit was saying, that if you look at the GDP per capita of India, it's $2,500. But if you remove the top 10% of India, which is this, it comes down to $600. So the government is not caring about this top 10% of India. But one more question I want to ask you, a little bit more from an economical front. Is there a way to measure how efficient is the government utilizing the tax collected, right? Because a lot of people, I'm sure in the comment section will be like, okay, we are paying so much taxes, 30 lakh crore is what the government is making, but is it going in the right places? Is it being spent properly, or is it going into their pockets? So is there a way to measure how efficient is a country in terms of utilizing its assets compared to other countries? Like, is India really an honest country in terms of utilization of the citizens' hard-earned money?
Look, finally, you have to see what is the capex which is happening in the economy, because that is the productive amount of spending. Rest, everything else is just a running expense. Whatever you are paying as salaries, as pensions, as your normal outlays
Subsidies
or something,
and
subsidies and all that is all running expenses, right?
That is not adding value to the
That is not adding value to anyone, right? Only thing which is getting added is the capital expenditure which government is doing.
That list we just saw, the defense sector.
11 lakh odd
education
crores
sector.
is one large number which is happening basically, and there are other productive expenditures also which perhaps government might end up doing. But in India, the leeway is very, very small, Sharan. Out of 100 rupees which the government earns, almost 50 to 55 odd rupees just goes back to states as devolution for their own development, for their own work or whatever, their own expenditures, running the federal system of economy.
Which is not productive expenditure.
Which is not a productive expenditure, right? There is very little which goes out to as discretionary expenditure, which is around 48 rupees, which is left, and uske andar maybe then you have sub limits of defense and agricultural and rural and all those things, and a very large chunk goes out in salaries and other regular payments. So there is very little capex which is happening, which is productive investment in the country, and there is very little latitude also for the government to do that.
If I look at a company, if a company is spending most of its money on paying the salaries to the employees, and very little profit is left to build new factories or build new buildings or office spaces, then the company doesn't grow.
Absolutely.
Similarly, if the government is spending mostly on subsidies and salaries of the government employees, and there's very little left for capital expenditure of infrastructure and defense or education, the country will not develop.
Absolutely. So the lesser your fiscal deficit number goes, the better it becomes for the government, right? So you also have to track the number of revenue deficit, which is a sub part of the fiscal deficit, right? But the lesser your fiscal deficit number goes, which means the government will borrow less for the year. That means their interest payments will be that much lesser. The lesser the interest payment means, the more money you have to spend, right? So once you are debt free, you can always spend your salary in productive investments. You can invest, you can save more, you can do more SIPs. Same is the case with Government of India. So the less your debt becomes, the less your debt burden becomes, the more your outlet to other things can increase.
Interesting. You have anything else to add?
No, Sharan, but trying to decode a few more things because there are many things announced. Have you heard that 20% TDS on the mutual fund units? I didn't get that. I need to see the fine print because she announced something on the.
She said something.
TDS on the mutual fund. She did some rationalization on the TDS front also. We need to see that.
Okay, I have a very specific question for you.
Sure.
Saurabh Jha is asking. I have a salary of 23 lakhs. In hand 1.5 lakh per month. I have a home and a personal loan EMI of 62,000 rupees. Insurance is 6,000 rupees. How do I manage my money? Please help. Now, how should this person do in light of the new budget? What can this person do?
See, if what Sharan, you calculated the number that 5,83,000
Correct.
something, 4,83,000
the
something.
exemption and deductions that has to be
Right.
done.
If he is not having that much of deduction and allowances, he can go with a new regime because new regime he will be saving more taxes. Now, when it comes to managing their overall EMI in their personal loan, he is not getting any benefit in the taxation.
Correct.
So that he needs to see. And what is his main question? What kind of advice he wants from us?
Wait 1 second. What happened? We have another.
No benefit in the taxation.
Correct.
Whatever your personal loan or a vehicle loan, only that housing loan that gets the benefit. So what he is trying to understand. So new regime, old regime, we solved for him. So that's the, even if your income is more than 15 lakh, and if we
He's
just
at
calculate,
23 lakhs.
so that he needs minimum amount to break
Yes,
even is
joining
4,83,000, which you just calculated, right?
Yeah.
Just give me 2 minutes.
So if he is having that much deduction and allowance, when I say allowances, that includes your HRA, that includes your food coupons, their LTA and all that thing. Considering all these
This
things,
person has a home loan EMI of 44,500 per month.
right? In that we need to see what is
The
the
interest.
interest portion, and I don't think so that, including that and considering all that thing, if his allowance and deduction is more than 483, then only it makes sense for him to go for a old. Otherwise, he should stick to new regime. He will be saving some taxes.
Now we talked about NPS, which has been increased to 14%. Now, like you said, it is voluntary also. I don't have to agree to that.
True,
How
true.
to make that decision? Because one argument is that if I give money to NPS, right, extra 4%, my in-hand income is lesser. Now the decision to make is, would I have done a better job investing that extra money by investing myself in mutual funds or by giving it to the government for NPS?
Right.
Because one might argue that NPS is not investing in risky assets, right? But if I'm saving up for my retirement, I want to invest in riskier assets so that it compounds at, let's say, 15-20% CAGR. So how to make that decision as a middle class or an upper middle class person in this country?
This is the very common question I face when I talk to my investors, and I am a big advocate not to invest in NPS. Why? If you are a financially literate, you can manage your money and you have that psychological advantage also that you will not give up after 5, 10, 15 years, and you have very much strong conviction that this is my bucket for my financial freedom or my retirement, right? You should not invest in NPS. Okay, after all the tax advantage also.
Correct.
Why? The first reason is that you can invest maximum 75% in equity. Now
Can
you all
increase your
you can maximum invest 75% in equity. Whatever you are contributing, the maximum will go to equity portion is 75%.
in NPS.
In NPS.
And that also only 90% of that equity component goes into the large cap funds. It doesn't
Right.
go into mid cap.
So
and
that's
small
how
cap.
the fund manager is managing, but mostly, as you said, they would be keeping majority chunk in the large cap. That's the first thing.
Correct.
Now, what call you, and again, let me tell you the another disadvantage. People say it's a tax-free. It's tax deferment, Sharan. It's
Correct.
not tax-free. Because after the age of 60, you can get only 60% of amount as a tax-free, as a lump sum. Rest 40% you have to opt for annuity.
Correct.
If you see the current annuity rate on NPS is just about 4%. So that 40% of your corpus when you turn 60 is earning not even as good as inflation. Then
Correct.
why should I stuck my money with that?
And
Unless
annuity may be sent as a pension,
pension.
which is taxable in your hand.
It's taxable.
Correct.
Yeah. People argue that, okay, at that time I would not be in the taxable. I don't buy that argument because if you are financially literate and you're having that much corpus, you know that 12.5% you are anyway paying on the long-term capital gain now. So there would be some taxes and you would be falling in some tax bracket. So you need to consider taxation on that pension also.
It will be
And
taxed as per your income.
as
slab.
per your slab, of course. But the that 40% of the amount which you have accumulated, which is earning very, very poor rate.
Correct.
That's the annuity rate, okay? Annuity
That is
percentage.
like 4.5%.
around right now, right? That will of course decrease because it's a kind of a guaranteed income. So that is the biggest.
Something like a money back.
Perfect. Money back plan of any traditional insurance. So this is the biggest argument, that if I can control my money well, then I would be putting in a pure investment product where I can decide my allocation, how much to put in large cap, mid cap or small cap. And people might argue that, Nitesh, if I'm putting 1 lakh in the NPS, I'm saving in the higher tax, like a 35,000 tax. But now you have to do analysis. If you invest that 65,000, let's say you are putting 1 lakh in the NPS, you will save tax of 35,000 and you are investing 1 lakh. One thing is you will have a less disposable income.
Correct.
That you need to see that how your budget is placed. That's the first thing. And your money is locked in till 60.
Correct.
That's the thing. Now, if I'm going that I will pay that taxes and I'll invest only that 65,000, still you can outperform. As per our calculation, you can still outperform with that 65,000 because you can choose your equity portion. You are not locked in. You can make your own calls.
So what is the expected CAGR in NPS?
So CAGR in NPS right now, because this market is good, even mutual fund is giving good. So it's in the range of 15% CAGR if what we've seen. This is a pure equity, the maximum equity schemes. Otherwise, what kind of plan you are choosing? Because there are corporate debt, there are alternate assets and all that thing. You have to opt in a 3 to 4 asset class. You can't just put in equity, right? On an average, you can expect 2 to 3% lesser than a mutual fund. So I would assume when I'm calculating or making a plan, I would assume around a 9% from my NPS, because the 75% equity, Sharan, is not that absolute amount that keep reducing with your age, right? Correct. So that also need to be.
That's an important point.
Yeah, that
even
also.
If you choose the most aggressive, it might, but you can lock in also, no, 75%.
But after certain age, that's you need to opt for a more conservative number. That's the rule. Okay. So if at least I would also encourage people to invest in NPS, if that 40% of the corpus I can also withdraw as non-taxable.
But that's not allowed.
That's not allowed, right?
So what
that's
you're
the one
saying
thing.
is that if you are financially literate, if you know what you're doing, if you understand how to pick mutual funds and do asset allocation, better to manage your own money instead of giving it to the government in the form of NPS. But if you're someone who is very scared of mathematics, very scared of numbers, only knows simple interest, compound interest, then give it to an NPS.
Right. And my argument is that in your EPF, you are getting 8.4%. That's the sure shot. Go for that if you want. And not the NPS. That's my way of looking at the personal finance.
1 second. Talking about arbitrage. What? I'll do that. It's fine. 1 second. Absolutely loving this live stream. I am questioning my life. Left side of headphone. Okay. NPS is 9 to 11%. Best so know you. So yeah. So guys, what we are discussing over here is that what happened? These mountains are coming here. Air rock. It went off.
I think you need to. Yeah.
Just open it up. Cool. So guys, while we are talking about the budget and what are these implications for you from a taxation point of view, if you want to have an in-depth learning about how to manage your money, how to do asset allocation, how to do financial goal-based planning, how to pick mutual funds, we're conducting a masterclass, a 2-hour live session which I'm conducting personally. It happens this Sunday. So if you want to register your seat for a 2-hour live session with me, the link to join has been put in the chat section, right? It's happening this Sunday. So book your slot fast because we run out of seats really, really quickly. So the link to join the masterclass has been put in the chat section. So if you want to transform your finances and learn how to achieve early retirement, how to manage your money, register now and I'll see you live this Sunday. What other things that what do you want to discuss?
Yes, I'm just trying to see that what are the other announcements.
So guys, see, most of you guys watching over here will not find majority of the budget applicable to you because most of the things are for the economy, for the government, for the, has more implications on industries and business owners. But as a person who is salaried, as an individual, as a retail investor, most of the things that we covered right now is already discussed. And net, what we are saying that it's a, like a balanced budget. You got something extra and you lost something as well. Primarily, if you are earning upwards of 30 lakhs per annum, I would say that we are going to spend a little bit more money in terms of paying taxes, primarily because of the LTCG that has been imposed.
True.
Right? It really impacts people who are high earners in this country. But if you're somebody earning less than 15 lakhs and all, I would say net, we are going to make extra positive.
Yeah, positive.
any change in ESOP taxes? Nothing has been discussed
Nothing,
on the
yeah,
ESOP front.
not
A
read
lot of
anything.
people kept asking about cryptocurrencies. I think the government didn't really bother talking about cryptocurrencies. But guys, one hack that I will tell you, and you can also add on to it, is that if you purchase cryptocurrencies directly, right, on a crypto wallet, then you have to pay the 30% tax and the 1% TDS. But if you buy the ETF of those cryptocurrencies, which are traded on the US markets,
Okay.
then those ETFs are treated as US stocks.
Okay.
And US stocks
Unlisted.
are taxed as 20% with indexation benefits.
That unlisted.
Yeah,
Right.
so you can buy a Bitcoin ETF, have exposure in Bitcoins without paying the 30% tax. And the budget will not tell you all this, right? This is a hack, right? So if you want to invest in cryptocurrencies in a more tax efficient manner, you can do this. F&O taxes, yeah guys, what can we do?
So on the ESOP and foreign asset disclosure, the thing is that, see, if you have some foreign accounts, you have some investment in the foreign stocks like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So earlier you need to disclose, still you need to disclose all that thing, but that there was a penal provisions that you get some penalty on all that. But if it's still 20 lakh rupees, there is no penal provision now. So that has changed, which I can find when it comes to foreign asset disclosure.
What do you mean by penal provision?
So yeah, there was some penalty if I don't disclose this in my return of income. When I'm filing my return, I need to show that if I hold any foreign assets, financial or non-financial, right, in any country other than India, I need to disclose. Still I need to disclose, but that up to 20 lakh, the penal provision has been removed. But we need to see that what is that exactly. We need to see the finance bill and then we can decode that.
Got it. Also, no surcharges and all has not been reduced, no? I thought...
No change at all, apart from that 3 things we discussed, the standard deduction, the slab rate change.
If you were, Nitish, I want to ask you a very interesting question. If you were the finance minister, what additional things would you have added in this budget which was not discussed?
I would have not changed the capital gain tax of that 10 to 12.5%.
The LTCG.
LTCG, which, so I would have not tweaked that.
They
at
increased
least
that tax by 25%.
Yeah.
From 10 to 12.5.
Right. So that I would have not touched, honestly. The thing is that I would have definitely encouraged the health insurance part, which we just spoke on. If I'm just talking about the personal finance less.
Yeah.
Okay. And
meaning reduce the GST on health insurance.
Right. GST and health insurance, or you at least allow that if you are buying health insurance, you allow that in the new regime also.
For deduction.
For deduction.
That is not allowed right now.
And the 50,000 standard deduction to 75,000, it's not fair enough according to me. If you see the inflation and how much salaried people are paying
When was the
the
last time it
taxes.
was changed, the standard deduction?
The standard deduction is introduced as a 50,000 when I think in 2020. 2020, because standard deduction is not something new. Why? Because there was some benefit like your medical allowance and your conveyance. In this, abolish this and they introduce this. That people don't recollect.
No, but that is in the new tax. But in the old tax regime, standard deduction was always there, right? But that was introduced.
No, standard deduction was not there. Because old regime, you get all the deduction, conveyance, your medical expense, which
standard
employer.
deduction is not there in old
No.
tax.
Introduced this 2 things. What they did, old regime, they abolished few of the deduction and they introduced, now you all get. You don't need to give proof and all that thing for your conveyance and all that thing, your the traveling allowance and all. You directly get that 50,000.
That's what I saw, traveling and all that.
Yeah,
They removed
yeah.
and they made the
Yeah.
standard deduction.
Yeah. So that
has not been increased enough
So
considering
now,
the inflation.
right. So 75,000 is there. So as you said that you being salaried, you would be spending on many of the things. You are upscaling and all many things, or you might be spending something for your betterment, right? You don't get major benefit. That is 50,000 now done to 75,000. So at least I would have done it till 1 lakh. So this is 2-3 changes. But like you mentioned, many things to look when you are a finance minister. You just can't make one particular person happy.
Correct. And net
Segment
government is
happy.
actually losing 8,000 crore as we discussed after doing all of these changes. So government is actually giving away some of its revenues.
True.
For
And the
benefit of-
fiscal number will definitely help. If you see country, or if FII is putting money and taking bet on you as India, they will see all this number. So more FII flow will come and all that thing.
Correct.
So I think
But don't
net
you
is
think foreign investments will get discouraged because the LTCG has been increased?
right. So that would impact. But as I told you, you also need to see that how other countries other than India are taxing the capital gain. Of course, there are, for example, countries like Hong Kong when there is no capital gain. No capital gain tax, right? But there are few other countries, then there is a
In US,
capital
like you
gain
said,
tax.
it is taxed at
Marginal rate, which
marginal
is
rate,
which
as
is
their
quite
income slab,
right.
And
Right.
as on accrual basis.
Accrual
like
basis.
in India, only if you sell, like for 5 years, if I hold, let's say, a mutual fund,
Right.
if I don't sell it, I'm not paying any tax.
Right.
Only when I'm selling, I have to pay the tax. But in the US, you're saying even if I don't sell it, I have to pay tax every year based on the accrued profits.
Right.
Similar to our fixed deposit.
Right.
was.
So
So
if-
compared to the US, you're saying our LTCG for equity market is much better.
Much
than
better,
the US.
much better.
So-
Because we are encouraging.
Correct.
Because till 2004 to 2018, there was no tax on long-term capital gain.
Correct, of course.
That has been introduced in 2018.
Yes.
That from 0 to it become 10%, and we
10%.
got all the grandfathering. But see, you are changing the shift. In last 6-7 years, now 10% has become 12.5%.
So we can
So I
keep-
can see that.
expect it keep on increasing.
Yes, I can see that the more you develop, and more people will come into that
We're going
net.
the US route.
Yeah, so you will come to 15% or 20% and all that thing. And of course, we are shifting from old regime to new regime, because even already 2/3 are filing as per new regime.
Yeah.
So more people will fall into that. So you can see in 2 to 5 years, old regime might be phased out, and there will be only new regime.
No changes for business taxation also. Everything is the
No,
same.
because you are, and that way you are quite low taxation in business, because you, as highest tax for an individual is 39%,
Correct.
business pay just 22%.
Correct.
So they have already got the benefit, and that has given the push that they can spend more on their capex.
Correct.
I can expand my company and all that thing. So that's why already there is a great reduction in the corporate taxation
So
before few years.
How do I wrap my head around this? A lot of people would be thinking,
Sure.
as an individual, as a salaried person, the highest tax that can be imposed on me is 39%.
Right.
And I'm not allowed to do any expenses if I go on a vacation, if
No.
I, buy a house, if I buy a car, I cannot show it as an expense. But as a business owner, I can firstly show all of those as expenses, buying a car, buying a house, showing it as business expenses. And the final tax I have to pay is only 22%. Whereas as an individual, it can go up to 39%. So how do I wrap my head around this in terms of fairness of how much I'm paying from my pocket as an individual? As an individual, I'm already poor. But as a business, I'm supposedly richer, but I'm also taxed lesser. So how do I wrap my head around it?
See, Sharan, when you are a corporate or when you are running your whole this company, okay, you are giving employment to so many people. You are doing so many things which indirectly benefiting the country. So for my corporate, if I'm keeping that tax low, I can put more money in my business, I can employ more people, I can expand, which ultimately impact the overall economy.
So
Now,
that's one way of looking.
that's the one of it. Also, you see that you being maybe a director or an employee of company, though you own a particular share of your company, ultimately what you earn from the company is already taxable.
Correct.
That is already at 39%.
Right.
You're getting my point.
Yeah.
So you as a director or a professional already paying the taxes. But this is as a company level, because company spending on let's say you're spending on the office, you get a rent, you buy some assets like a car and all that in the company's name, you get that depreciation. Why? Because government also want to promote the more and more entrepreneurship.
Correct.
Now you see that angel tax has been abolished.
That has
That
been
will
abolished.
also impact the startup.
So basically, people are ready to take a risk to start a business. They'll pay lesser taxes.
Right.
But if you want a comfortable job where you have predictability of income, then the taxation will be more. Because as a business owner, you've taken the risk and you're creating more jobs.
Perfect.
So the taxation has been reduced.
Perfect.
And plus, angel taxation also has been abolished.
Yes.
So startup boom will happen
Boom will
more in
happen.
this country.
Right. People will, more and more people would be going towards that, and they don't need to route through foreign investing and all that thing.
Correct.
So that will help. At the same time, what we initially discussed, Sharan, the skill development, people, they want to make more people employable. That will actually help us in the long term. So
Correct.
we might see something from a short term lens, but if you see from a long term lens from 5-10 years down the line, it's going to help us. Because the demographic dividend we talk about, the average Indian age is 28-29 years, right?
Correct.
If
Correct.
I'll not give them food, or I'll not teach how to fish,
Correct.
then how will survive? So that demographic dividend which today we celebrate might become burden for me.
Correct.
So this is a very good measure that I want to make them employable as a FM, as a government.
And
So that's
what
why-
are the things that government is doing to make them employable?
Yeah, so they are spending on the skill development that they mentioned. We also see that for internship, they would be giving some benefits which we earlier discussed in the first part of budget. They are also giving the first wage, which will decode that. We need to see that how that going to do that. Also, once you are, let's say you are registered with the EPFO, so they are also going to contribute something for your EPF.
The
So this
government is
will,
only gonna-
government going to do. So that will help more industry and more manufacturing to employ those kind of people, because government is giving some kind of benefits to company to employ them, to make them ready for the job.
Correct.
Right? So this all will help.
Creating more taxpayers.
True. Creating more taxpayer, and before that taxpayer, creating, at least making them eligible to earn something.
Yeah, because today 90% of the population is earning below the exemption limit only.
True.
So what tax will I charge from?
Perfect.
Right? So this is like a government's investment in the youth of the country.
Perfect.
So that they can start earning more because they are upskilled now. They can start earning more and eventually give back to the country
True.
through taxes in the future.
Right. Or at least not take away from what we are giving as a taxation.
Yeah.
Because as we are again and again mentioning, 80 crore people
Correct.
living
So
on
it
the
is sort
ration.
of like the way to look at it is that the top 10% of the country is helping the bottom 90%
Perfect.
to upskill themselves so that they might start earning more, so that they might start paying more taxes,
Right.
and then overall the tax burden of the rich
Right.
will reduce.
Perfect.
But for us to see that happen, it will take probably another 30-40 years.
Yes.
So this current generation who is in the top 10%, who is in the 30 to 45 year bracket, we are sort of building the nation. So that's
Building
one way of
nations.
looking
Perfect.
at it. But a lot of people in the comment section are like, I want to leave the country and all of that. So what is your message to them?
See, I have many clients, Sharan, in last 3 years moved out of a country. There are pros and cons. If you see the kind of inflation in UK and all that thing, and you also mentioned in your one of the shows that you need to see purchase parity index.
Correct.
So it's not that I'm earning in US 1 crore versus I can compare I'm earning 25 like in India.
Yeah.
You need to see that how much you are spending on standard of living over there,
Correct.
how much you are spending on the basic necessity, what are the security measures and all that thing. You need to see so many things. And the purchase parity index, that PPP, is a very big thing.
Yeah.
You must see if you are planning to move abroad. And see, it's grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm a proud Indian. So I would say that we are building a nation and we going to benefit out of that. You ask that our taxes are utilized properly or not. You need to see outside your that comfort zone what's happening. For example, the metros are being built,
Correct.
the roads are being built, people are spending on infrastructure. Of course, there would be some complaint that
Yeah.
this is a waterlogging and all that thing. I
Yeah.
know, even I am disappointed.
Correct.
What people, Sharan, want, if I'm paying taxes, I get that recognition, I get something in return. So I know you are not directly getting something in return. So for example, in USA, they have all this, there no medical cost after you are 60, you get all these benefits, right? Which is
Yeah.
not there in India because India can't afford,
Correct.
right? You need to earn your food and also need to make for your retirement. So
And
I
also
think
help the poor people of the
poor people.
we get nothing back. At least one certificate they can do. And at
That
least
they are
can
giving.
They can at least celebrate the highest taxpayers in the
That's
country.
right.
I think that is something which is going to absolutely cost no money to the government and celebrate the highest taxpayers in the country. And so that, for example, let's say it's a business owner, if it's an individual taxpayer, whatever it is, I think more such positive stories should be celebrated by the government so that
True.
they get the recognition at least.
Right.
Because today people are not really feeling that they are, valued for paying such taxes. Let's say, for example, I paid, let's say, 2.5 crores in income tax, like an example, right? Now, I'm not getting any recognition for that, right? It's just that I'm just paying the tax and it's over, story done, right? If there is some recognition to the highest taxpayers in the country, I think that sort of can be at least a consolation prize.
Something in return, yeah.
Something in return.
Something
Some
in return,
consolation
some
prize.
consolation prize.
So,
So interesting.
Somebody is saying, what if you have a salary and a professional income? Then which tax regime should I take? Because a lot of people, are salaried people, but also are freelancers.
Some freelancer or something like
They're
that.
what is the moonlighting?
Moonlighting.
They're doing. They're getting a lot of people are
Yeah,
doing
yeah, of
that
course,
today,
that's-
right. With the age of content creation, everybody is building a personal brand, right? So along with the salaried income, I'm also having my social media income coming. So how do I look at my tax regime there?
So very important thing to note, which we already discussed, you can't change your regime every year because now you will be filing ITR 3 if you are earning professional fees or freelancing
But I
income.
also have a salaried income. No?
But still you have to file ITR 3.
Okay. So,
So-
even if I have a salaried income plus freelance income, I
Right.
still need to treat myself like a freelancer.
Of course, because you have to file ITR 3, right? When you are filing ITR 3, which means you have income from business and profession, right? Now, you can't switch the regime. So you need to make a proper choice because you will not be able to shift every year, okay? Till you have that freelancing income. Let's assume that scenario you have for 2 years freelancing income. In the third year, you only have a salaried income. You can again start switching. That's interesting. That
is
people are not aware.
Ah,
So what you need to see is that which return you are filing. In that particular financial year, if you are filing ITR 3, this year I have a salary plus consulting, then I don't get choice to switching.
yeah.
But the moment I don't have that any other kind of income like consulting, business and profession, you can again get that choice of switching off. So this is very much one need to do that analysis
Got it.
that you want to go for old or new. So yeah,
So
that
there's some interesting data points that's coming over here. This is 20%.
yeah, this is what we have discussed, 3.7 lakh.
Yeah.
This was earlier 3.6 lakh.
माइक्रो स्मॉल मीडियम एंटरप्राइजेज में हमने क्या किया स्किलिंग ऑन एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए
They are also just commenting on it. Cool, guys. Anything else that you guys want us to discuss? Anything else you think we left out, Nitesh?
No, I think we have covered most of the things which
Yeah.
matter to as one as a personal finance profession from that lens.
Somebody saying that brought a smile. Certificate. Cool, guys. I guess you guys have. I hope you guys like this live session. It obviously happens only once a year, the budget. But I think this was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was fun for you, Nitesh.
It's very much
Very
fun for
much
me.
fun, right?
Thoroughly enjoyed. Sir. Thanks for
Mohit
having me.
unfortunately had to, do a live session with one TV channel because, as you know, today all the TV channels are, after the budget. So he had to step out, but I'm sure he also enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Nitesh, for
Thanks, man.
doing this. I really enjoyed this. It felt like we have our own TV channel over here, right? Not like those boring TV channels. It was more fun, I felt.
True.
I hope you also had fun.
Thoroughly enjoyed this.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much for staying till the end. I think at peak there are about 5,000 people live. Thank you so much. And don't forget to register for the masterclass if you're really serious about how to manage your hard-earned money. I'll be coming live this Sunday. So the link has been put in the chat section. If you're really serious about managing your money, register now and I'll see you live this Sunday. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next live.